Time of Huagua, 7:30 a.m., May 1st, 2036. Shiryu lay motionless in bed for nearly 10 minutes, her big cat-like eyes wide open yet utterly vacant. Guys, who gets this? Last night before bed, she'd been curled up in her own little den, but after one night's sleep, she'd woken up in an entirely different place, even a whole new world. Not only was this not her home, she'd also been trapped in someone else's body. That wasn't even the worst part. A system chattered non-stop inside her head to this very moment. It informed her she'd been force-bound to system number 144, dubbed the Doomsday Cannon Fodder Awakening System. System 144 was growing frantic. It had picked this host with great care, yet she wouldn't react. Was she just going to lie around and give up entirely? Was that really her plan? 144, host, you've transmigrated into this Doomsday Novels world. The apocalypse will strike in exactly 1 month. You have to pull yourself together. Are you planning to die in this world without a fight? A faint flicker finally stirred in Shiryu's lifeless eyes, yet she still didn't stir an inch on the bed. She spoke in a tone that saw life and death as trivial. What difference does it make? We're all doomed sooner or later. Early death or late death amounts to the same thing. 144 urged her. There's a huge difference. Even though I dragged you here via forced binding to face the coming apocalypse, the main system has prepared a golden finger for you. You won't be left helpless in this end times world. Shiryu fell silent, wallowing in complete apathy. 144 kept pressing to persuade her. The golden finger is a fridge storage space. That massive custom high-end built-in refrigerator out there cost the original host nearly 400,000 yuan. If you fill it to the brim before the day ends, every midnight, all supplies will auto-restock completely. It also comes with an attached 5,000 cubic meter time-frozen pocket dimension. This meant if Shiryu stuffed the fridge full of food, emptied it before midnight, she'd get an identical full stock of groceries again. For someone living through the apocalypse, this was an incredible cheat code. At the very least, she'd never have to worry about food and water. Still, Shiryu didn't move an inch. Not even a golden finger this powerful could rouse her. Grinding its virtual teeth, 144 pushed on. If you complete missions to seize the male and female leads' karmic opportunities, successful snatches grant rewards. Once you accumulate enough mission points, you can unlock the system mall to buy exclusive system goods with those points. What's more, if you survive until the apocalypse ends, you can return home. The second those words landed, Shiryu, who'd been ready to surrender entirely, shot upright like a critically ill patient suddenly jolted awake. System 144's core data trembled in shock. Shiryu's cat eyes lit up, flooded with newfound vitality, and she blurted excitedly, really? Crippling or killing the novel's main characters didn't matter one bit. Going back to her original world was everything. Watching its host snap back to life, 144 promised firmly, more genuine than solid gold. If you save enough points, you won't just go back alone, you can even bring one person with you. With 144's guarantee, Shiryu fully perked up, abandoning her listless slump. She climbed out of bed cheerfully and headed for the bathroom, questioning inwardly, you said the fridge restocks every midnight, right? If I empty it before 12, after midnight rolls around, it'll refill with the exact same full stock of food? Delighted its host had regained motivation, 144 replied instantly, that's correct. You must fill the fridge fully within today, and ration your food supplies wisely. Since today's the first day, you can empty the fridge after midnight tonight. Restock will trigger immediately once cleared. But every subsequent night, you'll need to empty it before 12 o'clock sharp. If you forget one day, the fridge will only replenish whatever items you've consumed when refresh time hits. Shiryu nodded upon hearing this, standing before the bathroom mirror to examine the unfamiliar body she now inhabited. The original girl shared roughly 80% of her features, save for a tiny red beauty mark beneath the outer corner of her right eye. The mole lent her already stunning face a soft seductiveness, toning down the sharp edge of her features. After finishing her inspection, Shiryu washed up while asking silently in her mind, you said this is a Doomsday Novels world, can you walk me through the backstory of this body? 144, host, the original owner's name is Jiang Shiyu. She's exactly 20 years old, a sophomore majoring in foreign languages at S University. Shiryu spat out toothpaste foam without uttering a word. 144 continued, she's actually quite similar to you, a wealthy, privileged heiress. But after her mother passed away young, her worthless father immediately married his long-lost beloved. The woman brought along a daughter only a few months younger than the original host. Shiryu arched an eyebrow. She was also a rich heiress, yet she saw little similarity between them. Shiryu's parents had entered an arranged marriage with zero affection. After she was born, they each lived separate, indulgent lives, but they had signed a formal agreement beforehand. No matter what reckless affairs they pursued, neither was allowed to produce illegitimate children. Shiryu remained their sole legal heir. That was why she never faced threats to her status. She never lacked money or material comforts. This upbringing forged her fiercely independent, even eccentric personality. While other wealthy young ladies spent childhood learning instruments, Shiryu trained in all combat forms. When those same heiresses grew up attending tea parties, shopping sprees, and beauty treatments, Shiryu stood out like a misfit, throwing herself into all sorts of heart-stopping extreme sports. Rock climbing, skydiving, high-speed motor racing, women's ice hockey, yachting, piloting private planes, and occasional underground fight club exhibition matches, to name a few. In stark contrast, the original Jiang Shiyu was nothing more than a brainless beauty. Though she'd gotten into S University, plot suppression had dulled her wits. Despite possessing the talent to enter a top-tier school, she acted as dim-witted as an airhead. Every single day, she either competed for men's attention or threw herself desperately at the male lead. Luckily, she held onto the inheritance her mother left her plus company stock shares. Annual dividend payouts guaranteed her a lavish lifestyle. Otherwise, her deadbeat father would have kicked her out. Shiryu finished washing quickly, returned to the walk-in closet, and picked out loungewear, slipping off her pajamas as she asked, "So the beloved's daughter is a half-blood sister?" 144. Not exactly. She's only the original host's stepsister, not the father's illegitimate child. She was very young when her mother brought her to the Jiang household, so she took his surname. Jiang Yi. She's also the female lead of this doomsday novel. 144 added, even though Jiang Yi isn't his biological daughter, his beloved holds immense sway over him. He dotes on her. The original Jiang Shiyu became the unloved outcast of the Jiang family instead. Shiryu scoffed at that. That rotten father and his whole family can rot for all I care. 144 panicked. Host, while our mission is to cripple the male and female leads, they are the world's children of destiny right now. If you move prematurely, you'll suffer massive backlash. We have to take this slow, first seize all their karmic opportunities to steadily erode their luck. Only once their protagonist halo fades can we take them down for good. Shiryu had long guessed the novel's leads wouldn't be easy targets, so she wasn't surprised by this warning. After changing, she tied her voluminous wavy hair into a messy bun. She spoke again. Who's the male lead then? 144, Han Chenxian, the campus heartthrob of S University's School of Economics and Management, a third-year senior in the department. Shiryu finished tying her bun and stepped out of the bedroom. Fill me in on this heartthrob male lead. 144 dutifully recounted his profile. Han Chenxian, 21. The sole heir to the Han family of Jin City, handsome, brilliant, and extraordinarily capable. His schoolmates praise him as a jade-like gentleman walking among mortals, unmatched under heaven. Shiryu shuddered violently. What kind of cheesy character trope is that? 144 replied flatly, that's how the novel's author wrote him. Shiryu mused thoughtfully, so reality is different? Otherwise, our doomsday system wouldn't have picked me to take them down. 144 made no denial. This novel's worldview is extremely warped. The author's clearly a novice writer. If no one intervenes to rewrite its trajectory, this entire world will collapse by the story's end. Shiryu nodded. Then someone definitely needs to cut the leads down to size. Even if this is a fictional world, it's fully tangible now. Everyone living here is flesh and blood. If the world crumbles, every single person inside will die. 144 sighed. Before 144 could speak further, Shiryu, who just crossed the living room into the dining area, blurted out a shocked curse. Holy hell. She pointed at the wall-spanning built-in refrigerator. This is my golden finger? It truly covered an entire wall. Two side-by-side French door refrigerators flanked a 10-tier wine cabinet set into the middle. Even as a wealthy heiress, she was stunned. Who in their right mind would custom order such an enormous refrigeration set for a single-person residence? No wonder 144 said the unit alone cost nearly 400,000 yuan. 144 said proudly, see? Isn't this golden finger massive? Shiryu hurried over and threw open the left fridge door, unable to contain her excitement. Massive, absolutely massive. Combined, these two French door fridges must hold at least 1,600 liters. Yet despite its colossal size, the interior sat depressingly empty. Staring at the vacant shelves, sure you wondered. 144 bragged, excluding the wine cabinet, total capacity hits 1,960 liters. Master the art of storage, host, and you'll never stress over food or water once the apocalypse hits. Sure you quickly inspected both fridges, then fixed her gaze on the central wine cabinet and asked, does the wine cabinet count toward the midnight restock mechanic too? 144, of course. It's integrated into the fridge unit, so it's treated as one cohesive space. Every midnight refresh will refill the wine cabinet alongside the fridges. Staring at the empty wine racks, sure you stroked her chin in contemplation. I don't drink alcohol, but liquor will be extremely valuable post-apocalypse. I'll stock 3 drawers with various spirits. Then fill the remaining 7 tiers with mineral water and assorted beverages. That'll free up plenty of extra fridge storage. 144 fully endorsed her plan and issued a reminder. Host, you must fill the entire unit before midnight. Only 16 hours remain until the first restock cycle. Plenty of time. Sure you turned to leave and asked, only food items? 144, what else would it hold? Sure you, can I stock medical supplies as well? The apocalypse would arrive in a single month. Food and water were critical, but medicine mattered. If medical supplies restocked daily alongside groceries, half her resentment over being force-bound and dragged into this doomsday novel world would melt away. Sensing her thoughts, 144 stuttered. Before answering, that's permitted. Satisfied with the confirmation, sure you grabbed the original host's phone and casually opened WeChat to contact someone. 144 asked in confusion, what are you doing? Sure you slouched lazily on the sofa, speaking unhurriedly. Tracking down medical supplies. Basic over-the-counter drugs are easy to buy at pharmacies, but tetanus shots, vaccines, and serums require connections. Now that she knew the apocalypse loomed in 30 days, she couldn't skip stockpiling hard to source pharmaceuticals. She wouldn't buy in bulk either, 1 box of each would suffice. Since the fridge restocked daily, she could slowly build a full stockpile bit by bit. 144 praised her, you're brilliant, host. Truly the perfect candidate I handpicked. A faint smile tugged at Shiryu's lips. 144, but you never read the original novel. How do you know who to contact to get these restricted medications? Shiryu let out a mocking huff. Are you a system or a complete airhead? We're both wealthy heiresses. Every rich family has a dedicated personal physician. Even though the original host was cast out by her deadbeat father the second she came of age, she's still a Jiang. Is it really that hard to ask them? 144, my bad, it really was a silly little system. 144 watched helplessly as its host messaged the family doctor and secured pharmaceuticals unavailable at retail pharmacies. After locking in a time for the doctor to deliver the supplies that evening, Shiryu tucked her phone away and stood up. All right, let's head out. First grab breakfast. Then hit the supermarket to stock up. Desperate to shake the silly airhead label, 144 offered enthusiastically, host, there's a large membership-only fresh produce supermarket nearby. I can navigate. Shiryu grabbed her car keys, slipped on her shoes, and smiled softly. Thanks, cutie. 144's virtual heart soared. Its host had called it cutie. It was adorable. Though the original host's apartment sat close to the city center, it qualified as a luxury mansion with a private elevator per floor, cutting down countless hassles for Shiryu. Stepping into the elevator and riding it downward, Shiryu communicated silently with 144. I'll hire contractors to renovate the place simply tomorrow. No matter what form the apocalypse takes. I need multiple reinforced entrance doors and a security gate installed on the elevator landing too. Also, the wall-to-wall floor-to-ceiling windows are far too numerous. For safety, swap them. Out for bulletproof, blast-resistant glass, double layers if budget permits. Time was tight, so she didn't plan a full home renovation. She only needed strong doors and windows. Once the elevator reached the underground parking garage, Shiryu asked 144, "Oh right, I almost forgot. What's the apocalypse premise of this novel exactly?" 144, relieved she'd finally asked, replied, "Natural disasters hit first, then zombies emerge later." Shiryu, the author of this novel must have never intended for others to survive. Catastrophic weather plus undead monsters, they really piled on every disaster trope imaginable. With 144 guiding her to the vehicle, Shiryu climbed into the gaudy red sports car. With a hint of disdain, she continued their mental conversation. What natural disasters hit in the early phase, and how long do they last? Will survivors awaken superhuman abilities? 144. The initial disaster is torrential nonstop rain. After 1 week, extreme heat sets in and never abates, kicking off a scorching heat wave period where daytime highs soar high. The heat wave lasts a full year, followed by a brutal cold snap the next year with lows plummeting to -65 degrees Celsius. Scrolling through the timeline, 144 elaborated. Zombies appeared during the heatwave phase. Roughly 1 month into the extreme heat, daily peak temperatures hit 55 degrees Celsius. Countless people contract heat stroke, many die from delayed treatment, only to reanimate as flesh-eating zombies that attack any living human on sight. A portion of survivors do awaken superpowers, also during the heat wave. Those surviving severe fevers unlock abilities. Shiryu remained seated in the driver's seat without starting the engine, scrolling aimlessly through her phone as she replied casually, "Based on standard tropes, I expected heavy rain." Followed by catastrophic floods submerging cities, then a brutal freeze. Didn't anticipate this book flipping the script entirely. 144 let out a virtual sigh. The author switched things up. Noticing the faint smirk on her host's face, 144 asked curiously, "Host, we're supposed to grab breakfast then go supermarket shopping. Why are you sitting in the car scrolling?" Shiryu didn't lift her eyes from the screen. "We're about to buy mountains of supplies. Look at this flashy little sports car. How much cargo can it carry? I need to rent an SUV from a car rental agency last minute." 144 suddenly realized its oversight. Right, a tiny sports car couldn't haul large quantities of goods. Shiryu pulled up the nearest rental company online, placed a booking through the app, and selected a black Tank 700 off-road SUV. The daily rental rate for this vehicle model is 320 yuan. Since bookings made online come with credit-based protection, deposits are fully waived for all customers. Shiryu rented the car for 7 days straight and contacted the car rental agency to deliver the vehicle directly to the gate of her residential compound. Most rental companies offer free door-to-door delivery service. The car arrives with a full fuel tank. After 7 days, she only needs to refill the tank before returning it. Or the agency staff can come to collect the vehicle from her location. Once the rental was confirmed and she shared her address, Shiryu exited the car, locked the doors, walked out of the underground parking garage, and waited outside the compound gate. She waited roughly 10 minutes before the rental agent pulled up with the car. With the agent standing by, Shiryu thoroughly inspected the vehicle inside and out before taking the keys and driving off. As soon as she merged onto the main road, Shiryu sighed. It's barely past 8 in the morning, and there's already this much traffic and crowds. System 144 chimed in with a mental reply, "It's the May Day holiday, so this is totally normal." The large membership-only fresh produce supermarket System 144 had mentioned earlier was located on the basement floor of the biggest, most famous shopping mall in the city center. Not wanting to hassle with underground parking, Shiryu found an empty spot in the open-air lot outside the mall and parked the car there. After stepping out, she skipped the supermarket for the time being. Once inside the mall, she headed straight to the top floor to have breakfast at a Cantonese tea restaurant. While eating, she thought to System 144 that she could order takeout from this restaurant next time and store the meals in her spatial storage to stockpile supplies. System 144 offered no definite response. The host had full authority over how to use the storage space, and as a system, it would never interfere with her choices. Shiryu had fully resolved to stock up on massive amounts of takeout food. Though her refrigerator restocks all its contents once daily, its capacity was still limited, so stockpiling extra goods was necessary. The original body, Jiang Shiyu, had more than enough money to spare, and she planned to spend all her cash before the apocalypse arrived. There was no sense in letting it go to waste. She even devised a plan targeting her terrible birth father. She held a small portion of shares in the family company, and she intended to find an opportunity to sell them to him. After finishing breakfast, Shiryu checked the time and saw it was already past 9. She quickly paid the bill and headed down to the basement supermarket. The basement housed more stores than just this fresh produce market, but Shiryu had no time to browse. She grabbed a large double-decker shopping cart at the entrance and walked inside. Upon entering, she went straight to the fresh meat section. Knowing her fridge would refresh daily, she avoided buying excessive quantities of any single item. Pork, 5 gene total, 2 gene streaky pork, plus 2 gene pork ribs. Yellow beef, 3 gene total, 2 gene beef short ribs. Lamb, 2 gene lamb, 2 gene lamb short ribs. 2 pork marrow bones, 1 pork trotter, 1 block pork liver, 2 gene lamb spine bones. 2 whole chickens, 1 rooster and 1 hen. The rooster would be stir-fried and the young hen for soup. As for ducks and geese, sure you personally disliked eating them, yet she bought one of each. Even if she never ate them, she needed to have them in stock. She purchased 1 meat pigeon for soup and 1 whole rabbit, asking the staff not to chop it into diced rabbit meat. She also took 2 gene pre-processed bullfrogs. Eggs, 1 carton each, 10 farm eggs per carton, 10 pasteurized eggs per carton, 12 quail eggs per carton, 8 preserved duck eggs per carton, 8 sea duck eggs per carton. Tofu varieties, 1 pack each, firm tofu, soft silken tofu, rice tofu, Japanese tofu, konjac blocks. After finishing with the meat and tofu, she moved to the imported Australian Wagyu section, selecting only M9 grade cuts, the highest tier available in the store. The supermarket neatly categorized the Wagyu into 2 lines, cuts ideal for hot pot and cuts meant for barbecue. Sure you took 1 pack of every variety from both lines: snowflake beef, hanging tender, blade meat, chuck eye roll, fatty beef slices, beef rib meat, ribeye, petite filet mignon, and whole cut beef. Once finished with Wagyu, she moved to the adjacent chilled section, grabbing 1 pack each of fatty lamb rolls, fresh beef tripe, 1,000-layer tripe, and fresh duck intestines. Next came the freshwater and seafood section. In the freshwater fish aisle, she picked 1 big head carp, 1 snakehead, 1 catfish, 1 black grass carp, 2 gene yellow catfish, and 2 gene small crucian carp. She also selected 2 Chinese mitten crabs, 1 male and 1 female, plus 2 gene crayfish and 2 gene eels. Moving to the saltwater seafood counter, she chose 1 king crab, 1 large Boston lobster, and 2 small spiny lobsters. For swimming crabs, 4 flower crabs, and 3 eyed crabs each. 2 mantis shrimp as long as her forearm, for giant black tiger prawns bigger than her palm. 2 gene each of tiger prawns, 9 spot prawns, scallops, flower clams, conch, small abalones, sea urchins, razor clams, and jellyfish heads. 1 pack each of squid tentacles and octopus tentacles. 1 dozen premium Australian oysters, 2 New Zealand Blackfoot abalones larger than her face, and 4 sea cucumbers. 1 deep sea yellow croaker, 1 leopard coral grouper, 1 turbot, and 1 tiger grouper. Glancing at her overflowing cart and considering her fridge's limited volume, sure you reluctantly stopped buying seafood and walked over to the chilled sashimi counter. 1 pack each of deep-sea cod, salmon, New Zealand king salmon, bluefin tuna otoro, bluefin tuna chutoro, New Zealand scarlet prawns, peony prawns, Arctic sweet shrimp, red devil shrimp, Arctic surf clams, and baby marinated octopus. She also picked several assorted sushi platters. After purchasing raw fish and sushi, she headed to the fruit and vegetable section. All vegetables sold here were organic, which drove up their prices significantly, but sure you cared nothing for the cost. Coupled with her fridge's daily restock function, she grabbed every premium vegetable variety available. Tomatoes, 1 pack 4 pieces. Onions, 1 pack 2 pieces. Red cabbage, 1 pack 2 heads. Garlic, 1 pack 4 bulbs, 1 pack ginger, 1 pack young ginger. 1 bag each of broccoli, cauliflower, green cabbage, Chinese Napa cabbage, baby bok choy lettuce. 1 bag of asparagus lettuce, 2 stalks per bag. 1 bunch each of water spinach, celery, green Chinese onions, chives, garlic scapes, young garlic sprouts. 1 pack each of pea sprouts, perilla leaves, fresh mint, Chinese tune, cilantro, kale, mung bean sprouts, soybean sprouts. 1 pack each of green peas, edamame, stringless kidney beans, cowpeas, snow peas, okra. 1 pack each of eggplant, corn cobs, lotus root, carrots, red radish, cherry radish, white radish, cucumber, zucchini, asparagus, baby mustard greens, baby leaf mustard. 1 pack each of green bell peppers, chili peppers, argentino chilies, bird's eye chilies, millet chilies, mixed colored bell peppers, screw chilies. 1 baby pumpkin, 1 mini kabocha pumpkin. 1 pre-cut pack each of winter melon and old pumpkin. 1 pack potatoes 4 pieces, 1 pack sweet potatoes 2 pieces, 1 pack ground sweet potato 1 piece. She called it quits on vegetables after this. Though countless other varieties lined the shelves, she passed them up. She only bought produce she actually enjoyed eating and had no use for the rest. With vegetables finished, she pushed the cart into the fruit section. First, she selected 1 seedless Kirin watermelon and 1 Musang King durian. After weighing them, she asked staff to cut and package both fruits on the spot. While the workers prepped the melon and durian, she browsed other fruits. 1 carton each of imported grade 5J red lychees and grade 5J yellow lychees. Each fruit was the size of an infant's fist. Each carton held only 35 pieces, small in quantity yet astronomically expensive. 1 carton each of Peruvian mountain blueberries, red strawberries, and white strawberries bigger than chicken eggs, raspberries, fresh red bayberries, jewel plums, black plums. Lychee-scented green grapes, seedless red grapes, golden finger grapes, sweet globe green grapes, Kyoho grapes, giant king lychees, longans, mountain honey plums, sweet oranges, sugar tangerines, baby mandarins, apples, snow pears, green limes, yellow lemons, mangosteens, mangoes. 1 whole piece each of imported Thai young coconuts, pineapples, papayas, cantaloupe, jackfruit. All except the young coconuts were cut and boxed for her. 1 pre-peeled mixed platter of Thai blood pomelo, white pomelo, and golden pomelo. 1 carton each of blood oranges, wax apples, sugar apples, milk jujubes, pomegranates, kiwis, loquats. Shiryu was incapable of going a single day without fruit, and she struggled to restrain her purchases. If System 144 hadn't constantly reminded her to slow down, she would have kept grabbing more. After finally listening to the system's persuasion, she stared longingly at all the remaining fruit she hadn't bought. Sensing her disappointment, System 144 offered a compromise. Host, today we're only filling the refrigerator, and its capacity is limited. We need as many different varieties as possible, so we can only buy small portions of each. If you're this fond of fruit, once we stock the fridge today, we'll head to the wholesale fruit market tomorrow to stockpile massive quantities. This suggestion was highly convincing, and Shiryu finally stopped shopping for fruit to retrieve her pre-cut watermelon and durian. Even so, before leaving the fruit aisle, she couldn't resist picking 2 crisp mini melons to take with her. She argued to the exasperated System 144, "These tiny melons are hardly big at all. I'll just put one in the fridge." There was nothing System 144 could do. This was the host it had chosen, and it would spoil her no matter what. Leaving the produce section, Shiryu made a beeline for the grain and oil counter. She knew exactly what she wanted and skipped the retail shelves, heading straight for the service counter. Pointing at the ultra-premium rice on display, she told the clerk, 3 jin of Jingong rice, 3 jin of Wanyan tribute rice, 3 jin of imperial crimson rice. System 144 fell silent, dumbfounded. Jingong rice cost 8,600 yuan per jin, Wanyan tribute rice 7,100 yuan per jin, and crimson rice 2,200 yuan per jin. Its host truly spared no expense. As she waited for the clerk to weigh, seal, and vacuum pack the rice, she thought to System 144, "The fridge restocks daily, and this is all for my own consumption. What's wrong with buying the highest grade rice available?" System 144 instantly agreed there was no issue at all. Shiryu added, "Later I'll grab 2 1-kilogram vacuum bricks of Wuchang rice from the shelves to store alongside these luxury rice varieties in the fridge." Once her premium rice was packaged, she slowly wheeled the cart to the shelf aisle and picked up the 2 rice bricks, ignoring all other bagged rice entirely. Large sacks of rice would take up too much fridge space, but she planned to visit a grain wholesale market later to stockpile bulk sacks in her storage space. With the wholesale market in mind, she skipped all bagged rice and flour alike. Not being from northern China, she did not eat wheat-based meals daily, so she saw no point filling the fridge with flour. She intended to buy large sacks of flour at the wholesale market later to store in her spatial inventory. For cooking oils, she selected the smallest bottle sizes that could fit directly inside the refrigerator. 1 900 milliliters bottle each of rapeseed oil, corn oil, soybean oil, blended cooking oil. Small 210 milliliters bottles for sesame oil, fragrant sesame oil, mountain pepper oil, Sichuan peppercorn oil, oyster sauce. 220 milliliters small bottles for light soy sauce, dark soy sauce, brewed soy sauce, black vinegar, white vinegar, cooking wine, steamed fish soy sauce. 1 small box/bottle each of tomato ketchup, sweet chili sauce, salad dressing, condensed milk, honey, barbecue sauce, broad bean chili paste, chili oil, wasabi. 1 pack each of butter, curry blocks, cheese blocks. Spice counter. 1 100g bag each of iodized salt, sea salt, monosodium glutamate, chicken bouillon, white granulated sugar, yellow rock sugar, single crystal rock sugar, pure brown sugar. 130g bottle each of 5 spice powder, 13 spice blend, ground black pepper, ground white pepper, sea salt pepper mix, cumin powder, chili powder, dried parsley flakes. 1 pack each of 3 flavors of beef tallow hot pot base, mild spicy, medium spicy, extra spicy. 1 jar each of sesame oil dipping sauce and clear oil dipping sauce. Seeing her host finish grabbing hot pot dipping sauces and head straight for the dried spice aisle, System 144 asked in confusion, "Host, are you only getting hot pot bases? What about seasoning packets for crayfish, boiled fish, and sour fish soup?" Sure you didn't glance back as she replied, "I'll buy cases of those directly from the wholesale grain market tomorrow. No need to waste fridge space on them today." System 144 nodded in understanding and fell quiet again, watching her continue shopping. Dried spice aisle, 150g bag each of dried chili peppers, dried red Sichuan peppercorns, dried green Sichuan peppercorns, star anise, cinnamon sticks, bay leaves, fennel seeds. After spices, she moved to the dried goods section. 1 bundle dried kelp, 1 sheet dried nori, 1 bag each of tremella fungus, wood ear mushrooms, velvet mushrooms, tea tree mushrooms, morel mushrooms, adenophyra roots. 1 300g jar each of mung beans, soybeans, black beans, red beans, yellow millet, black rice. 1 500g bag each of vermicelli, sweet potato noodles, hot pot wide noodles, dragon beard noodles, hand-pulled noodles. Instant food aisle. 1 bag each of Master Kong instant noodles in braised beef, pickled pepper beef, spicy spare rib, spicy marinated beef, and sour cabbage beef flavors. 1 bag each of several varieties of Korean ramyun. She skipped self-heating rice and self-heating hot pots as they took up excessive fridge room. She planned to order full cases directly from manufacturers online. When she reached the alcohol and beverage counter, she headed for the premium service counter first. Though she rarely drank alcohol and knew little about it, tobacco, alcohol, and tea would become scarce luxury goods post-apocalypse, so she picked the most expensive options available. Tobacco, alcohol, and tea were grouped together on the same counter, saving her extra trips. For liquor, she took 4 bottles outright, 1 Feitian Mutai, 1 Guojiao 1573, 1 Wuliangya Classic 5, 1 Fengjiao. The priciest wine on offer was a bottle of Roman Chianti worth over 200,000 yuan, which she grabbed without hesitation. She also selected a Cabernet Sauvignon priced at over 100,000 yuan and a bottle of 1982 Lafite costing more than 60,000 yuan. Even with limited wine knowledge, sure you couldn't help wondering at the price tag on the Lafite. Is this 1982 Lafite really worth over 60,000? System 144 explained, "This vintage of Lafite has passed its optimal drinking window. No matter how well preserved, its flavor has faded significantly from its prime." Sure you nodded half understanding, then picked 3 bottles of white wine. For whiskey, she took 1 bottle from each tier of the Macallan Luminous collection, Standard Luminous, Luminous Gold, Luminous Black. After liquor, she moved to the cigarette counter, selecting 3 premium, 3 mid-range, and 3 regular cigarette varieties, purchasing 1 pack of each. Next was the tea counter. She bought 500 grams each of Westlake Longing, Dongting Bilyuakun, Wui Rock Tea, Cheeman Black Tea, Junshan Silver Needle, and Jasmine Golden Dragon Robe Tea. Once finished with tea, she browsed the general beverage shelves, skipping all other alcohol. She only took 1 case of canned beer, intended solely for cooking, not drinking. Mineral water aisle. 1 case of 330 milliliters glass bottle Evian 20 bottles per case. 1 case of 348 milliliters Gaunt 10 mineral water 24 bottles per case. Beverages. 1 can each of Coke, Sprite, Red Bull, Mirinda Orange, Apple, and watermelon flavors. 1 can each of assorted imported fruit juices. 1 can each of Wangzai milk in original, fruit blend, apple, and strawberry flavors. Dairy section. 1 900 milliliters carton each of fresh milk and sweet milk. 1 100g carton of 4 different yogurt flavors. Imported snack aisle. 2 boxes of her favorite chocolate. plus 1 box each of imported fruit jelly candy, chocolate sticks, rich milk candy, mixed fruit hard candy. Small canned fruit, 1 can each of yellow peaches, lychees, mandarin oranges, red bayberries, honey peaches. 1 can of luncheon meat. Individually packaged hardtack biscuits, 45 grams per piece. 1 bag each of sesame, green onion, chocolate, coconut milk, butter cookie flavors. She also picked assorted small snacks she enjoyed. Frozen ice cream, 1 popsicle of 7 different Magnum flavors, 1 traditional old popsicle, and 1 box of each of the 13 available flavors of a popular 4-character ice cream brand. Staring at her completely stuffed double-decker cart, sure you thought to System 144, help me think if I've missed anything to buy. System 144 immediately listed the overlooked items. What about semi-finished pizzas and hand-pulled pancakes? Steamed buns, dumplings, glutinous rice balls? All kinds of hot pot meatballs and shredded crab sticks for hot pot? Plus frozen prepared goods like chicken feet and mid-joint chicken wings? Reminded by the system, sure you realized she had forgotten a huge range of goods. She quickly wheeled the cart over and purchased 1 portion of every item System 144 had mentioned. Once she finished shopping, the shopping cart was crammed full with no room left at all. Shiyu pushed the cart toward the checkout counter. But as she passed the kitchenware section, her gaze landed on a set of knives worth tens of thousands of yuan. She asked System 144 silently in her mind, if I buy this knife set and store it in the fridge, will they refresh every single day? System 144 nearly let out a shrill, piercing beep upon hearing this. Absolutely not. Host, what on earth are you thinking? I've already bent the rules for you by letting you stash some medicine, skincare products, and facial masks in the refrigerator, and now you want to put knives in there too. Shiyu pretended not to pick up on how agitated 144 was, and asked again, sounding rather dejected, is it really impossible? No way. 144's core data was on the verge of crashing. If I let you store knives in there and the main system finds out, both you and I will be done for. Now fully certain it was out of the question, Shiyu dropped the idea. Still, before she left the section, she picked out 3 of the most expensive knife sets to keep stored inside her spatial storage for later use. She took her time finishing checkout. When she glanced at the bill totaling hundreds of thousands of yuan, she swiped her card without the slightest hesitation and wheeled the cart out of the supermarket. Directly across from the supermarket sat a Bird's Nest boutique. Shiyu thought for a moment, first pushing the cart out of the mall. She unloaded every item from the trolley into her car, and the instant she shut the car door, all the goods vanished into her spatial storage. She locked the vehicle securely, wheeled the trolley back to the fresh produce supermarket to return it, then headed straight for the Bird's Nest shop opposite. She selected 3 varieties of traceable Bird's Nest, extra large traceable whole nests, grade 3A traceable whole nests, and golden swiftlet nests. Each individual nest weighed roughly 5 grams, with 100 grams packaged per box. Shiyu grabbed 1 box of each kind without a second thought. While checking out, the shop assistant warmly recommended their freshly stewed Bird's Nest products. Holding 2 glass bottles of fresh stewed Bird's Nest, the young clerk introduced them. These 2 were just stewed and bottled moments ago. There are top-tier fresh stewed Bird's Nest, crafted entirely from premium official Swiftlet nests. One is sweetened with rock sugar, the other sugar-free. Staring at the tiny 45-gram bottles, Shiyu smiled and said, I'll take these 2 first to taste at home. If I like them, I'll come back to place a bulk order. The clerk didn't think twice about her only buying 2 small bottles. She'd just watched Shiyu splurge freely on the highest grade, priciest whole Bird's Nests in the store. This customer clearly had money to spare. The assistant cheerfully packaged the 2 bottles of fresh stewed Bird's Nest alongside her other purchases, carefully arranging them inside an elegant small gift box for a polished presentation. As for whether Shiyu would return to order more later, she had zero intention of coming back. She planned to tuck these 2 bottles into her refrigerator, granting her an endless supply of fresh stewed Bird's Nest courtesy of the daily refresh mechanic. With her Bird's Nest purchases complete, Shiyu stepped back out of the mall. 144 asked, Host, shall we head home now to fill up the refrigerator? Shiyu glanced at the time and shook her head. No, it's time for lunch. She found a highly rated Chinese restaurant nearby. After placing her order, she scrolled through her phone while chatting casually with 144. Shiyu, I'll stop by the pharmacy right after lunch. 144, will we go home once you've bought all the medicine? Shiyu raised an eyebrow. Hardly. After the pharmacy, there are dessert shops, milk tea parlors, and coffee shops waiting for me. Later I'll hit barbecue stalls, seafood food courts, and the street food alley with all its local delicacies. I can't buy huge quantities of everything, but I'll grab one serving of each and cram as much as I can into the fridge back home. 144 immediately burst into rapid seal like clapping for its host. Shiyu, I've arranged to pick up prescription medication from Dr. Liang at the complex gate at 10 tonight. I just need to be back before 10 o'clock. 144 sighed with emotion. Being a personal doctor must be tough. He can't even clock off and rest by 10 at night. Shiyu chuckled. Don't be silly. Personal doctors don't stick to regular 9 to 5 hours. They draw exorbitant salaries, so they have to be on call at all times. 144 let out a soft hum and fell silent. Shiyu kept scrolling her phone, then suddenly remembered something and spoke again. Hey cutie, later I'll buy high-capacity portable hard drives. Could you download all domestic and international films, TV dramas, anime, and variety shows for me? Don't forget full national maps and online web novels either. 144 let out a crisp affirmative hum. No problem. I'm a professional when it comes to online data. Mission guaranteed accomplished. Shiyu smiled faintly. You're amazing. Also download cooking tutorials from all the food bloggers while you're at it. Got it. Should I also download materials covering humanities, history, and educational content? Shiyu thought it over and shook her head. Skip those. I don't belong to this world, so what use would they be? Those are concerns for people native to this reality. I'm definitely heading back to my original world once the apocalypse ends. She never viewed herself as a resident of this realm. She wasn't born here to begin with, and knowing full well this was the world of a novel left her feeling perpetually detached, like an outsider looking in. 144 sensed her host's detached mindset and dropped the subject. It was a good thing its host clung to the hope of returning to her original world. It would only motivate her to complete future missions more diligently. Shiyu continued speaking on her own accord. Just thinking about all the errands I've got tomorrow drains me. Being a lazy slacker lying low sounds far nicer. Host, there's no such thing as a laid-back slacker in the apocalypse. Anyone who lets their guard down dies instantly. Shiyu heaved a sigh. By the way, can I contact the government through you to warn them about the coming apocalypse without them tracing the message back to me? 144 hesitated, sounding troubled. I understand your good intentions, host, but this method won't work. The world's fundamental rules forbid altering major plot lines. Even if I successfully transmit the warning, no one will believe it. Worse still, it's highly likely the authorities will be unable to perceive the message at all due to plot constraints. Shiyu frowned, and 144 elaborated. The only workaround would be cutting the male and female lead's fate luck by at least half. Before the apocalypse strikes, and that's even more unrealistic, completely impossible to pull off. The protagonist's fate luck was far too formidable to weaken, let alone slash it in half. Shiyu relented. Alright, let's switch topics. Can you check what the male and female leads are up to right now? 144, affirmative. It's the May Day holiday, and they've gone on a self-driving trip with several classmates from their university. Shiyu let out a curious so. They're hanging out together already? 144. Not officially dating yet, but they're deep in their ambiguous stage. Shiyu nodded. Send me the full novel tonight tomorrow. 144. Understood, host. Soon her dishes arrived. Shiyu sampled a bite of every plate, finding the flavors excellent. She flagged down the server and ordered several signature dishes to pack for takeaway. Foshiekiang braised seafood casserole, a small pot of gold shark fin soup, a mini crispy roasted suckling pig platter, Chongqing-style boiled duck blood curd, and stir-fried yellow beef. She limited her packed order to 5 dishes. Worried the refrigerator wouldn't hold more. Once Shiyu finished her leisurely meal, her packed takeout was ready. She settled the bill, carried the packed bags to her car, and stowed all the food into her spatial storage. The moment she closed the car door. After driving away, she pulled up at a large pharmacy to stock up on medical supplies. 1 box each of common cold medicine, fever reducers, anti-inflammatory drugs, cold granules, antiviral granules, anti-allergy medication, heat stroke relief medicine, and Huxiong Zhengqi oral liquid, iodine tablets, burn ointment, and frostbite ointment were also purchased 1 box apiece. 1 bottle each of cough syrup and fritillary loquat syrup. 1 bottle each of rubbing alcohol, povidone iodine, normal saline, and Yunnan Bio. 1 box each of medical gauze, adhesive bandages, disposable surgical masks, medical cotton swabs, cooling gel patches, and fever relief stickers. 144 warned cautiously, host, masks, and cotton swabs cannot be stored inside the refrigerator. Shiyu paused mid-motion, but didn't dwell on it. I'll place bulk wholesale orders directly with manufacturers online later. I still need to stock up on hazmat suits and other protective gear anyway, so I'll order everything together in one batch. 1 bag each of water purification tablets, motherwort herb, and mugwort leaves. She passed on buying bulk traditional Chinese medicinal herbs. She had no idea how to prepare or use them. Even so, she picked up 100 grams each of Poria cocos, dried tangerine peel strips, hawthorn slices, wolfberries, and American ginseng slices. After paying and exiting the pharmacy, she wandered from shop to shop along the street. At the dessert parlor, she selected several small cakes and breads she favored. At the sweet soup shop, she packed multiple varieties of her favorite herbal sweet soups. At the milk tea shop, she chose 3 beloved milk tea flavors, ordering 1 iced and 1 hot cup of each, plus 1 serving of each of 3 fruit tea varieties. At the coffee shop, she picked 3 latte flavors, 1 iced and 1 hot serving for every option. She skipped iced American coffee entirely as she disliked its bitter taste. As she stepped out carrying her packed coffee, she spotted an elderly woman walking past with a wicker basket brimming with wild mixed mushrooms. Shiyu's eyes lit up, and she called the woman over at once. Wild mushrooms were one of her favorite delicacies. She couldn't let this chance slip away. Though she loved eating them, she couldn't identify most varieties. She only recognized pine mushrooms, mung bean mushrooms, and fiery king mushrooms from the basket. Every other type was unfamiliar to her. But she didn't need to identify them herself. She could rely on 144. After scanning the basket, 144 assured her, all of these are edible. There are no toxic fungi mixed in. There was no reason to hesitate. Shiyu bought the woman's entire basket of wild mushrooms outright. Carrying her prized fungi, Shiyu climbed into her car in high spirits and stowed all her new purchases into her spatial storage. Just as she prepared to drive off, a thought crossed her mind, and she asked 144. Wait, there aren't any hidden cameras in this car, right? 144 sighed. You're only just asking now? There's nothing of the sort. I ran a full sweep the first time you got in the vehicle. Not a single hidden surveillance camera, not even a dashcam. Relieved, Shiyu drove cheerfully toward the bustling food street. 1 jean each of spicy crayfish, garlic crayfish, peeled crayfish tails, and crab claws packed for takeaway. 1 small portion each of spicy crab stir-fried in pepper and garlic sauce, dry pot shrimp, and dry pot bullfrog. 1 serving each of cold rice jelly, cold rice cake, cold noodles, stinky tofu, jianbingguizi. Beef sesame flatbread, beef crispy pancake, tofu pudding, fried glutinous rice cakes, teppanyaki squid, and teppanyaki squid tentacles. 1 serving each of beef hand-pulled noodles, crab roe noodles, crab claw braised noodles, and casserole rice noodles. Even though she only ordered a single portion of every item, the haul looked enormous piled together. She returned to her car once more to store all the food in her spatial storage before resuming her shopping spree. On her way, she passed a computer mall and went inside to purchase 100 maximum capacity portable hard drives, plus 20 units each of the latest laptops, tablets, and smartphones. She shopped until nightfall, then stopped at a barbecue stall and ordered a large spread of grilled skewers to pack up. While waiting for her barbecue, she popped into a seafood food court and ordered several wok-fried seafood dishes for takeaway. By the time Shiyu wrapped up all her errands and headed home by car, it was nearly 9 o'clock at night. Even so, she spotted an old hot pot restaurant en route and went inside to order 2 broth bases and double portions of ingredients to take home. 144 was utterly stunned. Host, 2 full hot pot takeout sets. Your refrigerator won't possibly fit all of this. Shiyu kept her eyes on the road as she replied. Don't get the wrong idea. Only 1 broth base is going into the fridge to refresh daily. The rest is for my dinner and midnight snack tonight. 144 let out a quiet, oh. But you already stocked up on pre-packaged hot pot broth from the supermarket earlier. Shiyu spoke earnestly. Sweetie, you don't understand. No matter how good the supermarket broth cubes are, they can't compare to freshly simmered broth from a dedicated hot pot restaurant. 144 only half understood, but it trusted its host's judgment unconditionally. Hurry as she might, Shiyu only reached the complex gate before 10 o'clock, where Dr. Liang was already waiting for her. Dr. Liang was a middle-aged man in his 50s who'd served the Jiang family for nearly a decade. He was well acquainted with the original body, Jiang Shiyu, and knew all the family's private affairs inside out. So when Shiyu reached out requesting prescription medications, he didn't report the matter to her father. The tetanus shots, assorted vaccines, serums, insulin, and other pharmaceuticals Shiyu needed were stored inside the mini-car refrigerator in Dr. Liang's vehicle. Alongside those were blood pressure-lowering pills and heart rescue pills as well. Dr. Liang didn't press her for reasons behind the bulk medication request. He smiled and handed over the medicine, chatted with her briefly, then drove away. Shiyu climbed into her car with the drugs and immediately deposited them into her spatial storage. She drove through the complex gate into the underground parking garage, only to remember the original owner's tiny sports car occupied her designated spot. There was nowhere to park the SUV. Chagrined, she backed the vehicle out and found an empty parking space along the roadside outside the residential complex. It was already 10:20 by the time she stepped foot inside her apartment. Without pausing for anything else, she immediately set about cramming goods into her refrigerators. The custom-built double-door fridges the original owner owned came in two styles, one French door model and one cross four-door unit. The four-door fridge boasted far more storage capacity, so Shiyu filled that one first. Shiyu transformed into a master organizer, squeezing every last inch of refrigerator space to its absolute limit. She discarded unnecessary outer packaging boxes to cut down on clutter. For other items, she removed their retail packaging and transferred the contents into airtight food containers before placing them on the shelves. Miraculously, every last item, premium rice bricks, fruits, vegetables, raw meat, eggs, dairy, and more, fit perfectly inside the four-door fridge, filling it completely. This wasn't entirely surprising. While many fruits and vegetables came in individual retail boxes, most only held one or two pieces of produce. Shiyu tossed nearly all the plastic produce packaging, freeing up massive amounts of shelf room. The second French door double-door fridge held all her packed takeout meals, mini cakes, bread, milk tea, fruit tea, coffee, ice cream, assorted snacks, and pre-cooked semi-finished foods. After filling it, there was still plenty of empty space left. Shiyu quickly unpacked her pharmaceutical boxes and stowed the drugs inside, only keeping one strip from each multi-strip medicine box to conserve space. Even after stocking all the medicine, shelves remained vacant for more goods. She rushed to her bedroom, opened a set of unopened skincare products, and tucked one bottle each of toner, emulsion, essence, eye cream, and moisturizer into the fridge. Next, she tore open multiple boxes of facial masks, placing one sheet each of hydrating repair, whitening, wrinkle-reducing, anti-aging, and lifting-firming varieties on the shelves. She wedged full jars of sleeping masks and hydrating masks into every tiny nook and cranny available. Once the refrigerators were fully stocked, Shiyu moved on to filling her wine cabinet. White liquor, red wine, white wine, and whiskey only occupied 2 of the cabinet's 10 shelves and still had plenty of empty space left. Next came bottled mineral water, 44 bottles across 4 shelves, with 4 extra bottles tucked beside the whiskey to fill leftover gaps. 6 of the 10 wine cabinet shelves were occupied. She filled the remaining 4 with beer and assorted soft drinks, yet 2 shelves still sat empty once finished. With only 15 minutes left until midnight, Shiyu threw open the packed 4-door refrigerator and retrieved small bottles of cooking oil, seasonings, and sauce to fill the last 2 vacant wine cabinet shelves. 144 interjected, "Host, this wine cabinet maintains constant temperature and humidity. Seasonings and oil shouldn't be stored here, right?" Shiyu brushed the concern off casually. "I'll move all of this back into spatial storage the second the daily refresh resets the fridge. They won't sit here long term. A short temporary stay won't cause any damage." 144 hummed in agreement, convinced its host was correct. After filling the wine cabinet with condiments and oil, extra empty shelf space opened back up inside the 4-door refrigerator. Shiyu suddenly remembered the packs of cigarettes and tea leaves stored in her spatial storage and quickly tucked them into the fridge. She pulled off one last extreme storage maneuver, sprinting back to the bedroom to unpack sealed foundation, cushion compacts, primer, sunscreen, cooling spray, 2 bottles of perfume, and multiple lipsticks. lip glosses, and lip muds in assorted shades, stripping away all retail packaging before cramming them onto the fridge shelves. Spotting a final tiny gap, she pulled one bottle each of Cestban and Evian mineral water from the wine cabinet and squeezed them inside. The clock struck 12 exactly as she finished. 144 notified her, "Host, since this is your first time utilizing the refrigerator's refresh function, you may now withdraw all contents from the fridge into your spatial storage." Once cleared, the refrigerator will instantly restock to full capacity. Shiyu thought for a moment, then emptied both refrigerators and the wine cabinet. The split second every item vanished into storage, the fridges and cabinet auto-refilled, brimming with goods once again. 144. You may clear them once more. The next daily refresh will trigger at midnight tomorrow. Shiyu nodded and emptied the appliances a second time. After this second clearing, no auto-restock occurred. She glanced inside her spatial storage. 2 full batches of supplies sat tucked neatly in a tiny corner, barely taking up any volume at all. The only eyesore was the small ice cubes churned out by the French fridge's built-in ice maker, scattered loose with no container to hold them. Shiyu muttered to herself, "Tomorrow I need to rent a large warehouse first, then commission heavy-duty industrial storage racks from a local manufacturer. I'll place those racks inside my spatial storage, plus stockpile batches of food-grade stainless steel barrels and large storage bins. From then on, sorting and categorizing all my supplies will fall to you." 144's audio glitched for a split second before it consented, and a notification pinged in her mind. "Congratulations, host, on completing the novice mission. Fully stock the refrigerator. Reward: your spatial storage capacity expanded by an additional 500 cubic meters on top of its original volume, plus 100 mission points. Please claim your rewards." Shiyu let out a surprised huff upon hearing this. Setting mission points aside for now, she never expected such a simple task to reward her with an extra 500 cubic meters of storage space. Her initial spatial capacity stood at 5,000 cubic meters. Adding the bonus brought it up to 5,500 cubic meters total. More space was always better. Shiyu swept a glance over her expanded storage realm, thoroughly satisfied. But there was one thing nagging at her. "Shiyu, cutie, why does the beginner quest grant an extra 500 cubic meters of space? Is this only available during the new user protection period?" 144. That's right, host. Such generous rewards only exist while the protection period lasts. Once it expires, no matter how many future missions you complete successfully, you'll never get a 500 cubic meter space bonus again, unless you land a huge blow to the male and female lead's luck. Shiyu nodded thoughtfully and murmured, "If we're still in the protection window, where's my new user gift pack? Every system novel I've read gives hosts a starter bundle." 144. There isn't one. Shiyu arched an eyebrow. "Cutie, you hesitated just now." Before 144 could reply, Shiyu narrowed her eyes and pressed on, "Also, your full designation is the Doomsday Cannon Fodder Awakening System, right? The whole point of a Cannon Fodder Awakening is for the original host, Jiang Shiyu, to break free from the plot's influence and carry out missions that drain the male and female protagonist's fate. So why am I the one bound instead of her? Where's the real Jiang Shiyu gone?" 144 fell silent, stammering for ages before answering guiltily. The system was originally meant to bind Jiang Shiyu, but after exhaustive internal analysis, she's unfit. Jiang Shiyu's far too weak. Her physical fitness and abilities are abysmal. Even if she awakened the system and gained a sharper mind, she couldn't handle the workload. 144 whimpered softly and continued, "I picked you after extensive observation, host. As for Jiang Shiyu, she's in a peaceful minor world. She'll live a comfortable, trouble-free life there." Shiyu let out a cold scoff, unmoved by its excuses. "That mess shouldn't be my problem to clean up. This whole disaster is between Jiang Shiyu and your system. I was dragged here against my will. Doesn't your system owe me compensation?" 144's virtual voice used guilt. The refrigerator storage space counts as compensation. Already Shiryu's expression remained blank. "I thought that fridge space was standard equipment for anyone transmigrating into a doomsday novel. How else was a lowly cannon fodder supposed to target the main leads? Cutie, go ask your main system about this." Shiryu let out a dry laugh. "No compensation, not even a starter gift pack? Is the Doomsday Cannon Fodder Awakening system this stingy? I think I'll just laze around and do nothing from now on." 144. It instantly recalled how its host had lain motionless in bed, slacking off first thing that morning. This could not be allowed to happen. 144 immediately contacted the main system, and Shiryu waited quietly. 10 minutes later, 144's voice chimed again. Host, the main system has approved a new user gift pack for you. However, all rewards inside are randomized. This all comes down to your luck draw. Shiryu didn't care much about gambling on luck. She only cared about claiming that starter bundle. 144. Ding! Your pack has arrived. Shiryu focused her mind, and sure enough, a virtual gift crate materialized inside her storage space. 144 reminded her, just say "Open gift pack" out loud, and you'll receive all the rewards within. Shiryu hummed and said flatly, "Open it." The moment her words faded, a soft pop echoed inside her head, accompanied by virtual celebratory fireworks. Then 144's announcement rang out once more. Congratulations, host. You've obtained an additional 500 cubic meters of storage space, X5 powerful physique boost pills, 1 superpower awakening serum, and 100 mission points. Her 5,500 cubic meter space expanded by another 500, hitting 6,000 cubic meters in total. Staring at her now enormous storage realm, Shiryu voiced her curiosity amid her satisfaction. What do these powerful physique boost pills do? And what exactly are mission points? 144 rushed to explain. They deliver an all-round physical upgrade. A single pill boosts stamina plus 50, strength plus 50, endurance plus 50, speed plus 50, body toughness plus 50, and combat prowess plus 50 simultaneously. Every person has unique baseline physical stats. The pills stack all these stat increases with every dose consumed. Once you accumulate enough mission points, you'll unlock the system mall, where you can exchange points for all manner of supplies. Shiryu clicked her tongue in surprise. Unlocking the mall was a distant concern for now, but these boost pills were a game changer. So if I keep taking them, I'll basically turn into a superhuman? You could put it that way, but there's a hard limit to how many pills one person can consume, only 5 per lifetime. Even so, after finishing all 5 doses, you'll outclass ordinary humans like a superhero. Shiryu sighed in wonder, then asked another question. If I drink the superpower awakening serum right now, will I gain my ability instantly? That's correct, host. But I recommend taking 1 or 2 powerful physique boost pills before using the serum. Jiang Shiyu's original body is far too frail. Per the original novel's plot, she was never meant to awaken any superpowers at all. You have to raise every physical stat with the boost pills first before drinking the serum. This makes the awakening process far smoother. Friendly reminder from 144, consume all 5 powerful physique boost pills before using the serum to maximize its full effects. Shiryu nodded after listening to the explanation. Can you pull up this body's original baseline stats for me to see? Of course, host. The second 144 finished speaking, a translucent virtual stat panel materialized directly before Shiryu's eyes, displaying all metrics of her current vessel. Host name: Shiryu original vessel, Jiang Shiyu gender, female age, 20 physical stats, stamina, 20 endurance, 13 strength, 17 speed, 14 body toughness, 12 combat prowess, 5 superpower? Unknown. Reading these numbers, especially the -5 combat stat, Shiryu's mouth twitched involuntarily. She was basically a total weakling, unable to win a single fight. Recalling her own combat capability from her past life, a dull headache throbbed at her temples. Shiryu resolved to take 1 powerful physique boost pill before bed that night. But for the moment, Shiryu stowed the leftover unboxed facial masks into her storage space, then picked up every discarded medicine carton and packaging littering the floor and tossed them in the trash. She stretched lazily and walked toward the dining table. Finally have time for dinner and a late-night snack. She pulled a packed container of Buddha jumps over the wall, a steaming bag of grilled skewers, and a cup of iced milk tea out of her storage realm. As Shiryu sat at the table eating and drinking, 144 asked in confusion, "Didn't you say you were craving hot pot earlier?" Shiryu smiled. "It's too late at night. This simple spread will have to do for now." 144 stared at the Buddha jumps over the wall. It was starting to lose the meaning of the phrase, make do with simple food. Once she finished eating, Shiryu headed straight for the en-suite bathroom in her bedroom to shower. Her day's task had only been stocking the refrigerator, yet she'd been running errands outside nonstop. On top of that, Jiang Shiyu's frail body was delicate and weak by nature. Without Shiryu's iron will and high pain tolerance, she would have collapsed from exhaustion hours ago. Fresh out of the shower, she hastily slathered skincare across her face, retrieved a boost pill, and fell asleep. Within minutes, Shiryu slipped into a deep, uninterrupted sleep, not stirring once until sunrise the next day. At exactly 9 a.m., 144 roused her on schedule. On any other day, Shiryu would have hit snooze, but she knew she had mountains of supplies to stockpile before the doomsday. The instant 144 called her name, she jolted wide awake. She rushed to the bathroom to wash up after climbing out of bed. Once finished, she patted Essence toner and sunscreen onto her face with minimal fuss and headed for the dining area. For breakfast, she pulled a bowl of tofu pudding and a fried pancake wrap out of her storage space. Mid-bite, she communicated silently with 144. I took one boost pill last night before bed, and I feel so much lighter this morning. The system's products really live up to the hype. Naturally. All system goods are premium quality. 144 boasted proudly, Host, you only feel a lightness right now because you haven't grasped how massive a 50-point stat boost truly is. This body's physical metrics are now nearly identical to your original selves. Shiryu smiled without comment, took another spoonful of tofu pudding, then said, pull up my updated stat panel for me to check. 144 brought up the stats instantly, the translucent panel floating before her gaze. Host name, Shiryu original vessel, Jiangxiyu gender, female age, 20 physical stats, stamina, 20 plus 50 is equal to 70 endurance, 13 plus 50 is equal to 63 strength, 17 plus 50 is equal to 67 speed, 14 plus 50 is equal to 64 body toughness, 12 plus 50 is equal to 62 combat prowess, 5 plus 50 is equal to 45 superpower? Unknown. 144. Every stat besides combat prowess has broken past 60, Host. Shiryu squeezed her arm lightly, then nodded. Dismiss the panel. 144 noted her lack of excitement and asked, aren't you satisfied, Host? Your current stats surpass most adult men. Shiryu shook her head and chuckled. I'm perfectly happy. Can I take the second boost pill once I finish breakfast? That's not allowed, Host. 144 hurried to explain, you must wait a full 3 days between each pill. Even though system pills have zero side effects, human bodies are fragile. Such drastic stat surges will tear your physique apart without a cooling-off window. This 3-day cooldown is the system's optimized safe limit. Shiryu nodded in understanding. 3 days wasn't an unbearable wait, so she'd abide by the rule. After finishing breakfast, she changed into casual wear, grabbed her phone and car keys, and headed out the door. Locating her vehicle in the residential complex parking lot, she turned the ignition and spoke to 144. Cutie, pull up navigation for me. Find the nearest grain market. 144, on it, Host. Target locations locked in. I've mapped out the fastest, least congested route. Shiryu turned the steering wheel to back out of her parking spot and grinned. You're amazing. Puffed up by her compliment, 144 sought more praise. Host, there's a logistics transfer center in the district adjacent to the wholesale market with dozens of large warehouses available for rent. Right next to the grain and oil market sits a full fruit and vegetable wholesale district too. What an attentive, brilliant little cutie. Shiryu laughed freely, unsparing with praise for her system. Let's head to the transfer center first to rent warehouse space, then hit the markets afterward. 144 responded enthusiastically. You've got this, Host, let's go. Roughly 40 minutes later, Shiryu arrived at the Jiulan District Logistics Transfer Center. She tracked down the facility manager and leased a massive 2,500 square meter general warehouse alongside an 800 square meter cold storage unit. She only signed a 1-month rental contract. After finalizing paperwork and paying rent plus the security deposit, Shiryu immediately reset the passcodes for both warehouses' digital locks. Once she climbed back into her car, she pulled out her phone to search rack manufacturers. Hello, I need to order 200 sets of industrial heavy-duty storage racks. Specs: 6 meters tall, 1.5 meters wide, 3 meters long, 4 tiers total, each tier rated for a 3-ton load. How much is one set, and how soon can delivery arrive? Understood, ma'am. Production will take 1 week, and each rack set costs 3,600 renminbi. Shiryu double-checked uneasily. You guarantee delivery within 7 days? Absolutely. Shipping fees are waived, and we'll send an assembly crew free of charge. Free delivery plus complimentary installation meant no haggling was needed. Perfect, I'll take all 200 sets. I'll send over the warehouse address shortly. Text me a payment account so I can transfer the deposit now. Very well, client. The deposit totals 220,000 renminbi. Once funds clear, I'll forward the digital contract and deposit receipt to your device. Yu hung up, received the account details, and transferred the 220,000 renminbi deposit at once. Minutes later, the manufacturer sent over the electronic contract and deposit receipt. She signed the digital document and sent a copy back for their records, then shared her warehouse location. With the rack order locked in, Yu drove toward the wholesale market. Her main objectives here were bulk flour and every cooking seasoning packet she'd failed to pick up at the fresh supermarket the previous day. She walked into a large store and headed straight for her required goods. Spotting the shop owner, Yu asked, "Do you offer delivery?" The shop owner set his phone down, grinning warmly. "Delivery's no problem, miss. What all are you looking to buy?" Yu listed out her order without pause, 500 sacks each of high-grade, medium-grade, and low-grade 50-gene flour. 200 sacks apiece of 20-gene cornstarch, sweet potato starch, and glutinous rice flour, 10 cartons each of baking soda, yeast powder, and rice flour. 1,000 sacks each of 50-gene rice, 300 barrels each of 20-gene cooking oil, rapeseed, corn, and soybean oil, 500 bottles of olive oil. 300 sacks each of 10-gene vegetable noodles, buckwheat noodles, corn noodles, and egg-dried noodles, 300-gene of sweet potato vermicelli. The shop owner grabbed a notebook and pen, scribbling down every item at top speed. Meanwhile, 144 piped up in her mind. "Host, your refrigerator restocks rice and cooking oil daily. Even small bottles add up to an enormous reserve over time. Why buy so much extra?" Yu explained, "This isn't excessive stock. Grain and oil are life or death supplies in the doomsday. Food is the universal ticket." 144 had a sudden epiphany. It made perfect sense. Grain doubled as trade currency. Future bases would charge admission fees, small as they might be. And once inside, lodging and supplies all required exchange points. And how did survivors earn those points? Either completing base-assigned missions or trading away physical supplies. Realizing this, 144 fell silent. Yu's gaze drifted to the seasoning aisle. 500 cartons each of seasoning packets for spicy crayfish, garlic crayfish, 13 spice crayfish, boiled fish, diving fish, sour fish soup, grilled fish, slow-cooked chicken broth, steamed mutton rice flour, dry pot shrimp, dry pot ribs, dry pot squid tentacles, dry pot rabbit, 5-spice braising sauce, and spicy braising sauce. Also 500 cartons each of these 3 beef tallow hot pot base varieties. 10 cartons of sweet rice yeast, too. She turned to the sauce section and continued her order. 300 cartons each of sweet bean sauce, beef paste, chopped chili sauce, charred chili dip, and sauté sauce. That's all for now. Yu glanced at the shop owner still scribbling at the counter and asked, "What's the total cost?" Finishing the last line of her order, the owner grabbed a calculator, tapping the clear button repeatedly as he smiled. "I'll apply our maximum bulk discount for you. Give me one moment to tally everything up." The whir of calculator keystrokes filled the shop as he crunched the numbers. While waiting for the final tally, Yu chatted with 144 mentally. "Cutie, help me brainstorm what else I should pick up at this market. Only items my refrigerator can't restock." 144, "Host, my scan detected a pickled vegetable shop at the back of the street. Do you want to stock up there?" Yu instantly pictured crisp, rice accompanying Sichuan-style pickles, preserved radish, pickled cucumber, stem mustard, baby mustard greens, and more. None of these were restocked by her fridge. "Absolutely, I have to buy those." "Anything else?" There is also a homemade liquor shop selling sorghum wine, rice wine, and yellow rice wine. Though she bought 4 bottles of high-end white liquor at the fresh supermarket yesterday, she could still get some ordinary bulk white liquor here. Besides, she didn't pick up any yellow rice wine or rice wine yesterday. "You, little cutie, make a note for me and remind me later." 144, "Got it, host." The shop owner finished tallying up the total just then, and Yu cut her chatter short at once. "Shop owner, miss, with our maximum discount applied, your whole order comes out to 631,332 yuan. I'll round down the extra change for you. Let's call it 631,000 yuan flat." Yu nodded and pulled out her phone. "Scan the code then." Once the payment went through, the owner immediately printed an invoice and receipt. Give me your address and we'll deliver everything by 6 this afternoon. Xiaoyu left her warehouse address, took the invoice and receipt, and walked out of the store beneath the owner's warm gaze. 144, host, the liquor shop is about 10 meters straight ahead. She could smell the rich liquor aroma even standing at the grain and oil store without 144's reminder. Looking up, she spotted a giant wine vat sitting outside the shop ahead. Xiaoyu walked toward it and asked the landlady first thing, "Ma'am, do you offer delivery service?" The landlady glanced up and smiled warmly. "We do, free of charge as long as the delivery doesn't cross district lines." "It won't cross districts. The drop-off is the transfer center here in Jiulan District." Landlady, then delivery is complimentary for you. Xiaoyu, perfect. I'll take 500 jin of the sorghum wine, 300 jin of yellow rice wine, and rice wine. When she looked over the rice wine selection, she saw the shop carried not just plain bulk rice wine, but bottled rice wine in a variety of fruit flavors too. The landlady stepped out from behind the counter and explained cheerfully, "These flavored bottled rice wines sell extremely well here. Young people are crazy about them, and they're low in alcohol content. Even people who can't hold their liquor can drink a few cups easily." Xiaoyu hummed and smiled back. "I'll take 300 jin of the bulk plain rice wine and 500 bottles each of the cream, strawberry, coconut milk, and cheese bottled varieties." The landlady hurried back to the counter and grabbed a calculator, grinning. "All right. Bulk rice wine is priced at 20 yuan per jin wholesale, and the bottled ones are 45 yuan each wholesale." She tapped away at the calculator and went on. "Pure sorghum wine runs 18 yuan a jin, and bulk yellow rice wine is 15 yuan a jin." After finishing the math, she turned to Xiaoyu with a smile. "Your total comes to 109,500 yuan. I'll knock off the extra 500, so just 109,000 yuan." Xiaoyu pulled out her phone. "Sounds good, ma'am. Scan my code." Once payment cleared, the landlady bent over to write out a receipt and formal invoice. "Give me the exact warehouse unit number, and I'll send someone over before 6 this afternoon." Xiaoyu gave her the full warehouse address, tucked the invoice and receipt away, then left the liquor shop and headed straight for the pickled vegetable stall at the back. At the pickle stall, she ordered 130 jin jars each of pickled radish, pickled cucumber, stem mustard, and baby leaf mustard. She also bought 50 10 jin jars each of pickled cowpeas and Chinese artichokes. The stall also stocked spicy diced radish, spicy and chili pickled stem vegetables, and sweet spicy crispy shredded cucumber. Xiaoyu picked up 100 jin of each variety, settled the payment, confirmed the delivery time, and moved on to a dried goods store. At the dried goods shop, she purchased 200 jin of every type of dried produce she hadn't bought at the fresh supermarket the previous day. After leaving the grain and oil wholesale market, Xiaoyu headed to the adjacent fruit and vegetable wholesale market. She bought 10,000 jin each of shiitake mushrooms, enoki mushrooms, oyster mushrooms, peanuts, spring bamboo shoots, and other produce she'd skipped yesterday. Next, she visited the fruit vendors, 30,000 jin of every other watermelon variety, plus 20,000 jin of honeydew melons. She scanned the rest of the fruit stand and saw nothing she fancied, so she stopped shopping there. Delivery for all the fruit and vegetable goods was scheduled for 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Stepping outside the wholesale market, Xiaoyu checked the time and realized it was nearly 1 p.m. She got in her car to grab lunch. Inside the car, 144, quiet all morning, spoke up again. "Host, after lunch, will you go by river and seafood produce? Or head to the slaughterhouse for meat?" Xiaoyu thought over the river and seafood already stored in her fridge and decided she had more than enough. She saw her spatial storage held 6,000 cubic meters, but it was far from limitless. She still had tons of supplies left to stockpile and couldn't waste all her space solely on food. No need for either. The fridge refreshes its stock daily, so I've already built up a huge reserve of fresh produce. If my storage capacity can't expand further, the fridge's restocked goods alone will fill the whole space in less than 2 years. Xiaoyu said evenly, "After lunch, I need to order water towers. The fridge restocks 44 bottles of mineral water every day, but we can't rely on bottled mineral water for daily household use. I also need to pick up a batch of large barreled drinking water from the water station." 144. You can stock up on barreled water, but water towers are unnecessary actually. Xiaoyu's eyes lit up. "Oh? What do you mean?" 144. Host, you can partition your storage space and reserve sections purely for holding water. No containers required at all. Xiaoyu's face brightened. That's brilliant. If I can store water directly like that, does the same apply to fuel? 144. Yep, as long as you section off dedicated storage zones. Sure, you stared ahead at the road, lost in thought as she drove. While waiting at a red light, she suddenly asked 144, does the storage retrieval function let me siphon fuel straight from underground storage tanks without touching the pump dispenser? 144 was utterly stunned. Its host's tone implied, did she plan to steal fuel without paying? 144, technically it's possible, but host, even with me covering your tracks, you'll get caught instantly if you try to steal fuel right now. Relieved to hear direct extraction was feasible, sure you caught the system's worry and hesitation and chuckled softly. What silly thoughts you've got, little cutie. We live under the rule of law. I'd never break the law and steal fuel outright. 144 breathed a sigh of relief, only to hear its host continue. Naturally, I'll buy a bulk supply of fuel privately first. I'll wait for a heavy rainstorm to hit before heading out to siphon fuel for free. Sure, you had no idea her little system was panicking, and spoke casually. Even though I can store liquids directly in the space, I'll still buy water towers and storage tanks, just not as many as I originally planned. 144 sounded confused. Why bother buying them then? Sure, you found this naive young system easy to guide, easy to get along with, even. She didn't mind its simple-minded question and patiently explained. There will be times I need them. I can't stay cooped up at home forever. Once the zombie outbreak hits, I'll have to travel outside, maybe even evacuate my house and move into a survivor base. I'll definitely need water towers and tanks then. Convinced its host made perfect sense, 144 showered her with praise. Host thinks of everything. You're so smart, host. You're the best. Shiryu smiled silently. Silly little thing, but adorable. Soon after, Shiryu pulled over at a dry pot restaurant, parked, and stepped inside. She ordered a dual-flavor medium dry pot with shrimp and rabbit meat. While waiting for her meal, she sipped an icy cola brought by the server and pulled out her phone, scrolling through contacts until she found her deadbeat father's number. 144 watched her dial silently, not daring to utter a word. The phone rang several times before being answered, and sure you heard her father's irritable voice crackle over the line. Why are you calling me? What trouble have you gotten into now? If it's nothing important, sure you cut him off mid-sentence, drawling lazily. 2 years ago you were desperate to get the shares my mother left me. Have you lost interest all of a sudden? Silence hung on the other end for several seconds. 144 warned cautiously, host, watch your tone, you'll break your character. The original Jiang Shiyu would never speak to her father like this. Sure, you thought to herself, the end of the world is almost here. Who knows how long he's got left to live? We might never cross paths again anyway. What does it matter if I break character? Sure, you scoffed internally. Now he remembers to call me Shiyu and pretend to be a loving father? She let out a cold laugh, abandoning her old gentle persona entirely. You've got quite the overactive imagination. I'm selling my 15% stake for a flat 200 million yuan after tax. No haggling, no credit, no installment plans. Her father clearly hadn't expected such blunt terms and fell silent for ages before erupting in rage. Jiang Shiyu. Is that any way to speak to your own father? I was driven out of the house the second I turned 18, all because I refused to hand over my mother's shares to you. You left me with practically nothing. What a loving father you truly are. Sure, you hit back with unfiltered sarcasm. That's my final offer, take it or leave it. You have 3 days to decide. If you pass, I'll reach out to the company's other shareholders. I'm certain more than one of them will jump at the chance. Father, Jiang Shiyu, you wouldn't dare. But I would, sure, you drawled with a faint smile. These are my shares, to sell however I please. Oh, and I've decided to change my name. Don't call me Jiang Shiyu anymore, drop the surname Jiang. Just call me Shiyu. Father. Before he could roar another word, Shiryu repeated 3 days and hung up with a click. 144 eyed its smiling host nervously. Host, aren't you worried he'll retaliate after you anger him so badly? Shiryu sucked on her straw. Oh, I'm terrified he won't make a move against me. Otherwise, how would I get the chance to settle scores with him? 144. 144, host, we're still under the rule of law. Murder carries heavy criminal penalties. Shiryu let out a mocking chuckle. Don't get ahead of yourself, cutie. I know full well how the law works. I'd never risk prison time to kill someone. But 3 days from now I'll take my second strength-boosting pill. What do you think about beating him up a little? 144 was practically begging in its virtual voice. Host, assault is also illegal. With 2 strength pills in your system, you could accidentally beat him to death without even trying. Sure, you glanced up to see a server carrying her dry pot toward the table and sat up straight. Waiting for the food to arrive, she reassured 144, "Relax. I won't strike first unless he comes after me. Even if I do confront him, I'll make absolutely certain he never figures out who attacked him." The dry pot arrived at that moment, and Shiryu dug in immediately. This restaurant's dry pot was incredible. She'd come back later to stock a batch away in her storage space. The fridge restocks dry pot meals every day, but there was no such thing as too much delicious food. Shiryu and 144 both dropped the topic of beating her father as she ate, scrolling online on her phone to place more orders. First, she found a local supplier selling water storage tanks and bought 10 2-ton capacity tanks and 10 half-ton storage drums each. Next, she located a local garment factory and submitted a bulk order through the shopping platform. Little cutie, after the torrential rain comes sweltering extreme heat, right? That's correct, host. Shiryu nodded, updated the delivery address to her warehouse, and began placing orders at rapid speed. She picked 10 distinct styles of women's short-sleeve tees in assorted colors and prints, ordering 1,000 pieces of each size, small, medium, large per design. 5 styles of sleeveless athletic tops in various colors and patterns, 1,000 small, medium, and large of each style. Solid color sports camisoles, 1,000 black and 1,000 white. Quick-dry performance shirts in 3 colors, 1,000 per size. 1,000 pairs each of athletic shorts and thin lightweight track pants. 144 stared at the staggering order numbers, stunned. "Host, will you ever wear all these clothes?" Shiryu didn't pause her scrolling checkout. "I'm worried it won't be enough. Once zombies appear, constant fighting amid hordes is inevitable. Clothes will get ruined beyond repair after barely any combat." At the mental image of blood-soaked garments, she wrinkled her nose in disgust and added even more items to her cart. Once summer apparel was ordered, she moved on to winter wear. Cotton coats and padded trousers, down jackets, cold-proof parkas, thermal soft-shell jackets, knit sweaters and pants, wool pullovers, thermal base layers, even military greatcoats. 1,000 pieces of every item in all 3 sizes. Finished with clothing, she found a local shoe manufacturer. Sneakers, running trainers, hiking boots, snow boots, mid-calf and tall leather boots, 1,000 pairs of each style in her shoe size. She ordered winter boots 1 size larger to accommodate thick layered socks needed for extreme cold. She also bought 100 pairs of slide sandals and 100 pairs of fleece-lined thermal slippers. Slippers were useless outdoors, but once she settled into a permanent base later, she'd need them indoors. Shoes ordered, Shiryu rushed to a local paper mill. Paper goods were non-negotiable stock. Rolled toilet paper, 12 rolls per pack, 10 packs per carton, 30,000 cartons total. 800 sheet facial tissue packs, 100 packs per carton, another 30,000 cartons. 50,000 cartons each of disposable facial cloths, wet wipes, and flushable toilet wipes. Sanitary pads from her usual brand, 5,000 cartons each of day use and night use variants, plus 3,000 cartons each of overnight protective underwear and disposable underwear. She wouldn't consume all these alone, but they'd serve as valuable barter supplies post-apocalypse. Next came intimate apparel. Even with disposable underwear on hand, cotton everyday briefs were essential. 100,000 pairs of women's cotton underwear. She planned to wear a fresh pair and toss it daily. 10,000 sports bras. They were the most practical option for constant running, fighting, and zombie combat. That said, she could always visit a mall later to pick out fancy lace lingerie whenever she craved something more feminine. After undergarments, she ordered socks. 50,000 pairs of thin, quick-dry summer socks, and another 50,000 pairs of thick fleece-lined winter socks. Money was no object whatsoever. Then bedding supplies. 105 jean cotton quilts and 108 jean cotton quilts, 50 down duvets, 50 wool blankets. 50 air conditioner quilts, summer cool quilts, and lightweight summer throws each. 100 summer mat, ice silk and silk 4-piece bedding sets. 100 coral fleece winter 4-piece sets. 200 pillow inserts. 200 electric heating blankets. Household supplies followed. 1,000 cartons each of toothpaste, toothbrushes, and mouthwash, soap, and laundry bars. She hesitated briefly over laundry detergent. She might never need it, but she stuck by her rule. Better to have it and not need it than need it and lack it. She ordered 300 cartons each of laundry liquid, washing powder, and specialized detergent for delicates and underwear. Shampoo, conditioner, and body wash from her preferred brand, 500 cartons each. She passed on unscented varieties. The air would be foul enough after the zombie outbreak, and she intended to stay smelling sweet. As for drawing unwanted attention with fragrance, she didn't care. Anyone who picked a fight with her would face her fists. She feared nothing. Fearless, she added 200 cartons each of hair mask and body lotion to her order. Her fridge already held 1 bottle each of sunscreen mist and hydrating facial spray. Yet, she ordered 500 cartons of every type regardless. Right, I also need those large stainless steel buckets and heavy-duty storage bins I planned to buy last night, Shiryu muttered to herself and resumed shopping. 1,000 food-grade stainless steel buckets of maximum available size. 2,000 extra large-capacity plastic storage bins. Now that I've bought buckets and storage crates, I'll also stock up on practical cookware and tableware, 200 pieces of every item, all stainless steel for maximum durability. Next, 100 solid fuel alcohol stoves, 500 cartons of solid alcohol fuel, 100 portable butane gas stoves, and 500 cartons of dedicated butane gas canisters for the stoves. I'll also get 100 cartons each of those tiny indispensable daily odds and ends: lighters, flint fire starters, matches, candles, sewing kits, scissors, nail clippers. 10,000 sets of every size for garbage bags, disposable chopsticks, disposable gloves, disposable food containers, and takeout boxes. 100 each of sun hats, baseball caps, sun hats with built-in mini fans, and winter trapper hats. 100 each of scarves, thermal gloves, fleece earmuffs, and thermal knee braces. 100 each of sun protection jackets, UV face coverings, and ice silk arm sleeves. 1,000 transparent rain ponchos. 20,000 cartons of heat warmers. 1,000 cooling USB handheld mini fans. 200 each of evaporative air coolers, space heaters, foot warmers, and rechargeable hot water bags. 100 refillable rubber hot water bags. 500 high-capacity power banks. System 144 watched its host's non-stop shopping spree and quickly spoke up. Host, your spicy stir-fried shrimp and rabbit dish will get cold. Pulled out of her shopping frenzy by 144's interruption, Shiryu reluctantly turned off her phone. She slipped on a pair of disposable gloves and slowly peeled the shrimp shells. I still have tons more supplies to buy. But after this meal, I need to hire someone to guard the warehouses. Otherwise, I'll be stuck there every single day just receiving shipments nonstop. 144, you're absolutely right, host. Shiryu hurried through her meal. Half an hour later, full up, she stared at the large leftover portion of stir-fry. Unwilling to waste food, she called the server over to pack it up. After paying the bill, Shiryu grabbed the takeout bag, climbed back into her car, and casually stowed the bag inside her spatial storage. She drove to a manpower agency to ask the manager about hiring staff. The candidate was a plain, honest-looking middle-aged man in his 40s. With the agency manager as witness, the two discussed job duties and salary terms. Shiryu said, I have 2 warehouses, and the contract only lasts 1 month. Your daily work will be staying on site to check and receive incoming goods, no heavy lifting required. If delivery crews don't offer laborers, you can hire temporary loaders outside the transit center and settle their wages once their work is done. Your shift runs 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily, with a monthly salary of 8,000 yuan. Meals are not included. If you accept these terms, you start work tomorrow morning. Even though tomorrow was already the 3rd day of the month, Shiryu agreed to pay a full month's wage. The middle-aged man's surname was Jiang Yue. He nodded immediately after hearing her offer. Boss, I'll take the job. Free meals aside, 8,000 yuan a month was excellent pay, and warehouse guarding was light work, just checking shipments and signing for deliveries, no backbreaking labor. He had no grounds to complain. Seeing he agreed, Shiryu turned to the agency manager. All right, let's draw up a tripartite contract. Uncle Jiang can start official duty tomorrow morning. The agency manager was delighted. He'd earn a commission for closing the deal so quickly. He pulled out pre-printed contracts, and all 3 parties signed their names. Shiryu filed away her copy and transferred a 1,000 yuan referral fee to the manager. Jiang Yue would also pay the agency a referral fee of his own, though Shiryu didn't bother asking how much. Afterward, Shiryu exchanged WeChat contacts with Jiang Yue, and they walked out of the agency together. Uncle Jiang, I'll send you the access codes for both warehouses later. Head straight there tomorrow morning, Shiryu told him. Shipments will arrive first thing tomorrow. Cross-reference the delivery manifests with the goods, then snap photos of the stocked inventory and send them to me once everything is logged. Jiang Yue nodded stiffly. Got it, I'll remember everything. If you need temporary loaders tomorrow, message me on WeChat and I'll transfer their pay directly to you. Shiryu laid out every detail unhurriedly. These two warehouses are just transit hubs. Sometimes goods get shipped out the same night, other times they sit for days. Don't be shocked if you show up for your shift and find the stock completely gone. Jiang Yue nodded obediently, memorizing every instruction. Once she finished briefing him, Shiryu got in her car and drove off. 144, host, you've hired a warehouse guard. What's next? Shiryu pulled up the car navigation and smirked. The car dealership. We're buying vehicles. Her original body's tiny supercar would be useless in the end times. She needed rugged off-road vehicles. She headed straight for the auto mall and walked into a 4S store, where a sales consultant hurried over to greet her. Good afternoon, miss. May I ask your surname? What vehicle type are you looking for? I can assist you through the entire process, the young consultant asked gently. Shiryu tore her gaze away from the showroom floor and smiled at her. My surname's Jiang. I'd like to look at off-road vehicles. She'd wanted to give her actual surname, sure, but she'd need to sign purchase contracts soon, and mismatched names on her ID would be awkward. The consultant replied promptly, understood, Miss Jiang. What's your budget range? Shiryu shook her head, saying she hadn't set a budget. The consultant switched topics at once. Do you have any specific models in mind? Shiryu thought for a second. A G-Wagon or a Hummer, preferably in stock. I don't want to wait for orders. The consultant's eyes lit up. What perfect timing. We have both the G-Wagon and Hummer in stock right now. Shiryu nodded and followed her deeper into the showroom. Before she reached the G-Wagon and Hummer, a massive off-road RV caught her eye. This vehicle radiated unmatched security. She could plow straight through zombies without feeling a single jolt. The more Shiryu stared at the RV, the more tempted she grew. She asked the consultant, is this RV for sale, or just a display model? The consultant glanced where she was pointing and smiled. It's available for purchase. What's the price tag? The consultant's enthusiasm only grew. This is an Armadillo Conqueror T. Its full on-road price is 11 million yuan. Shiryu's desire spiked. Next to this giant machine, the G-Wagon and Hummer looked trivial. She pushed the thought aside for the moment and followed the consultant to the G-Wagon. The consultant said, Miss Jiang, this black G63 is our only in-stock unit. If you want another color, you'll have to wait a month. Shiryu was satisfied with the black G63 and asked, how much is this one? 3.2 million yuan, the consultant answered. And the Hummer? The consultant led her toward the Hummer, also finished in black. This model costs 1.2 million yuan. Shiryu nodded. After a few seconds of silence, she skipped the test drive entirely. I'll take both of these off-road vehicles, full upfront payment. I also want that off-road RV we passed earlier, but I'll finance it with an installment plan. The consultant broke into a brilliant grin. That's no problem at all, Miss Jiang. Please come to our lounge area and I'll prepare all the paperwork for you. Shiryu followed her to the lounge. The consultant eagerly brought her an assortment of drinks and snacks before rushing off to draft the contracts. As Shiryu sat sipping a beverage on the sofa, she noticed countless staff members stealing secret glances at her. It made sense. Hardly anyone could resist staring at someone buying 3 luxury vehicles in one go. 144 spoke up, Host, I didn't expect you to finance the RV. The apocalypse is right around the corner. Why pay full price? Wouldn't the cash be better spent stocking more supplies? Then why not finance the other 2 off-road trucks too? Shiryu sighed inwardly. I was afraid the loan application would get rejected. For million yuan doesn't hurt my wallet much, but over 11 million yuan is a steep sum to drop all at once. Speaking of money, I should sell the original body's tiny supercar sometime soon. It should fetch a decent price, right? 144 quickly pulled up online listings. Absolutely. You can get over 2 million yuan reselling it secondhand. Shiryu brightened. Then I won't lose too much money overall. After signing the contracts and settling the payments, Shiryu handed the paperwork back to the consultant. Do you offer home delivery for vehicles? Once the consultant confirmed the service, Shiryu gave her the warehouse address. Deliver them to this location. Understood, Miss Jiang. The vehicles will arrive alongside 200 liters of 98-octane gasoline and 200 liters of diesel complimentary with your purchase. Great. Call me when they arrive, and I'll unlock the doors. Shiryu walked out of the 4S store with the consultant seeing her off, but she didn't drive away. Instead, she toured every other car dealership nearby. 144 sounded confused. Host, what are you doing? Are you planning to buy more cars? Shiryu's tone remained calm. No. I'm scouting the area, planning to come back later for a 0 yuan heist. 144. Truly its host, barreling headlong down the path of an outlaw. Pre-scouting locations was practically criminal. Knowing the dealership would deliver her vehicle shortly, Shiryu didn't linger outside any longer. She drove back to the transit center in Jiulan district. It was past 4 in the afternoon by the time she pulled up to the warehouse gates. She settled into her car to wait for the delivery trucks and vehicle transport crew. While she had a moment of downtime, she pulled out her phone and resumed her online supply shopping spree. 3 diesel generators each in small, medium, and large sizes. 3 solar generators, plus maximum capacity solar panels to match. 20 high-output portable power stations. 50 water purifiers with replacement filter cartridges each. 20 each of humidifiers, dehumidifiers, air purifiers, and oxygen concentrators. 5 5-horsepower vertical air conditioners. 10 3-horsepower wall-mounted air conditioners. 5 washer-dryer combo units. 3 single-door refrigerators. 5 mini-car refrigerators. 3 deep freezers. Host, I get why you're buying air conditioners and laundry machines, but don't you already have refrigeration covered? Shiryu calmly submitted her orders and replied, I still need them. Once I secure a permanent long-term shelter, I'll need somewhere to store food. I can't pull supplies out of my spatial storage in front of other people. But spatial ability users will emerge after the apocalypse. Even if someone figures out you have storage space, they'll just assume you awakened the spatial superpower. No one will think twice about it. Shiryu asked, can the storage spaces of ability users keep food fresh? Do items look exactly the same when you take them out as when you put them in? 144 froze mid-process. The answer was no. Exactly. That's why refrigerators are essential. They act as a perfect cover. 144. Are you afraid others will covet your supplies, host? Not really, Shiryu denied. I just hate unnecessary trouble. 144 fell silent. Shiryu continued scrolling through online stores, buying things on a whim with no set plan. Cat litter? It seemed necessary, so she ordered 5 tons to stock up. 50 each of outdoor flashlights, camping lanterns, windproof oil lamps. 50 each of outdoor tents, sleeping bags, moisture-proof mats. 20 mummy-style sleeping bags. 10 detachable fire pits. 10 outdoor barbecue grills. By the way, will the city flood during the torrential rain season? Shiryu asked. Should I stock up on inflatable boats, kayaks, life vests, and diving gear? 144. No, host. Floodwaters from the rainstorms will only reach thigh depth at most, nothing like the massive floods that submerge dozens of floors in other apocalypse novels. Shiryu nodded. All right, I won't buy massive quantities, but a small stockpile is still smart. So she ordered 3 inflatable speedboats, 5 kayaks, 10 life vests, 5 full diving sets. After finishing her aquatic gear orders, Shiryu moved on to other goods. 100 mosquito nets, 100 cartons each of mosquito repellent spray, insecticide, snake repellent powder, rat poison, mosquito coils, and floral cooling lotion. I also need coal, smokeless charcoal, and coal burning stoves, Shiryu suddenly said to 144. After the extreme heat comes a brutal extreme cold. I can't rely solely on generators to run space heaters. 144. You can order smokeless charcoal online, but coal has to be purchased offline. Shiryu hummed thoughtfully. Having never used a coal stove before, she had no idea how much to buy. She turned to 144. Will 10,000 tons of coal be enough? Even the novice 144 wasn't certain. It should suffice. Shiryu looked uncertain. Would that huge volume be hard to deliver? 144 answered firmly this time. Not at all. Look up 100-ton haul trucks. Their maximum load capacity hits 700 tons. Deploy a fleet of them, and the entire stock will be hauled over in just a few nights. Relieved, Shiryu said, then I'll order 30,000 tons. It would only add a few extra nights of transport time. As for smokeless charcoal, Shiryu checked online listings. Each carton held a maximum of 500 gene. She ordered 20,000 cartons online. After the charcoal order went through, she began purchasing medical supplies, disposable full-body protective suits, medical masks, and medical cotton swabs. 500 full-body medical protective suits. 2,000 cartons each of medical masks, medical gauze, and medical cotton swabs. 144 silently tallied the massive volume of supplies its host had purchased and had to issue a reminder. Host, you still need to stockpile drinking water and fuel. If you keep buying at this rate, your spatial storage volume will run out. Sure you. She'd gotten carried away shopping and forgotten her space only held 6,000 cubic meters. She was exasperated. What am I supposed to do now? I still have countless items left to buy, plus water and fuel to stockpile. Can't your system unlock an infinite storage space for me, sweetie? 144 was equally anxious, but had to break the news. Storage expansion can only be unlocked by completing system quests. There is no infinite spatial storage anywhere in our hierarchy. Not even the main system can grant it. Shiryu massaged her temples, stressed. Then what's the solution? The apocalypse hasn't even started. How am I supposed to complete quests? 144 stayed quiet for nearly a full minute, then a sharp ding echoed inside Shiryu's head. System 144 quest issued. Seize the female lead's greatest karmic opportunity, the planting spatial realm. Shiryu's eyes widened, then she grinned. Oh? Jiang-yi has a planting space too. The system transmitted the story timeline after returning from her self-driving trip. Jiang-yi and Han Chenxian visited the antique street over the weekend. The second she stepped onto the street, a sudden urgent pull tugged at her heart, as if something was calling to her. Jiang-yi followed the sensation to an antique shop named Guji Zhaidot. Her gaze locked onto a peach blossom-shaped white jade pendant in the display counter, and a silent voice inside her head urged her relentlessly. She had to claim that jade pendant. Ignoring Han Chenxuan's attempts to stop her, Jiang-yi spent 100,000 yuan buying it. Once she arrived and confirmed no one else was in the house, she bit her fingertip without hesitation and smeared her blood across the jade pendant. A flash of white light blinded her, and when Jiang-yi regained her senses, she found herself inside a separate dimension. Good heavens, the peach blossom jade pendant held a hidden spatial realm. Jiang-yi was overjoyed beyond words. The timeline cut off there. Sure, you thought the plot was riddled with absurd plot holes and nearly yelled out the same shocked exclamation. Sweetie, ignoring the weird mysterious pull for a second, how did Jiang-yi instinctively know to bite her fingertip and mark the pendant with blood with zero prior hints? Sure, you deadpanned, ranting. And do you know how much force it takes to bite clean through a fingertip and draw blood? That must have hurt terribly. I've got to hand it to our female lead for her guts. 144 also saw countless flaws in the logic, yet it pushed the critical matter to the forefront. Host, the priority right now is that peach blossom jade pendant. You must seize it before the female lead finds it. Sure, you hummed in acknowledgement and asked, which antique street are the male and female lead going to? The antique market on Miaowang Street in Xiangxia District. Got it. I'll head there first thing tomorrow morning to snatch it. Can't you go right now? 144 pressed anxiously. That's the female lead's biggest life-changing fortune, a planting space at that. Sure, you remained unshaken. No rush. Tomorrow morning will still be plenty early. The timeline said Jiang-yi only visits the antique street the weekend after her road trip, and she's still traveling right now. 144's anxiety faded instantly. Oh right, Jiang-yi won't get her hands on the jade pendant for at least another week. Sure, you pulled a fruit tea out of her spatial storage, stuck in a straw, and sipped it slowly. Exactly. The pendant's just sitting in the display case untouched until she arrives, so tomorrow will work perfectly fine. 144 fell silent again. Shiyu had nearly finished her fruit tea when the car delivery team from the 4S shop arrived. Leading the procession was a black Mercedes G-Wagon, followed by a black Hummer, and bringing up the rear was the strikingly imposing Conquest Night 15. Shiyu hurried out of her vehicle, fruit tea in one hand, gesturing for the drivers to park all three cars inside the warehouse. Once the three vehicles lined up neatly within the space, she turned to the saleswoman who'd accompanied the delivery and smiled. Thank you so much for your trouble. The saleswoman waved her hand quickly, grinning. Ms. Jiang, complimentary fuel cans are stowed in each trunk. We've also included plenty of small gifts from the shop. We hope they meet your liking. Shiyu nodded with a soft smile, and the woman went on. Now that the cars are delivered, we'll take our leave. All right, let me see you out. Before walking them to the gate, Shiyu suddenly pulled out her phone and exchanged WeChat contacts with the sales consultant. After adding each other on WeChat, she escorted the woman and three drivers out of the warehouse. She watched them drive off, then slid the warehouse gate shut, turning to 144. Sweetheart, there aren't any hidden cameras in here, right? 144 immediately scanned the entire warehouse and replied firmly, none, host. Not only were there no hidden cameras, but none of the internal or external surveillance systems were active at all. Relieved by this news, Shiyu instantly stored all 3 vehicles into her spatial storage. Once the cars were safely stowed away, she reopened the warehouse gate and climbed back into her own car. It was nearly 6 o'clock by the time the grain and oil supply truck rumbled into view. Seeing only the delivery driver and shop owner on board, Shiyu headed outside the logistics transfer hub to hire several temporary porters. While the casual laborers set to work unloading cargo, she stood by to supervise and cross-check the inventory list with the owner. No sooner had they emptied the grain truck than delivery crews from the liquor store, pickled vegetable shop, and dry goods supplier arrived all at once. The area in front of the warehouse descended into noisy chaos. Shiyu juggled reconciling multiple cargo manifests and asked one of the truck drivers to head back out and recruit more temporary porters. By the time every crate and sack had been carried into the warehouse, night had fully fallen. She settled wages for all the day laborers and watched them depart before stepping back inside and latching the gate once more. A little over 10 minutes later, every last item inside the warehouse vanished into her storage space. Satisfied, Shiyu unlocked the warehouse door, relocked it tightly, and got back in her car to leave. It was past 8 in the evening when she exited the transfer hub. She had no desire to wander around town any longer and drove straight home. Upon arriving, she pulled out an induction cooker and pot, then retrieved the leftover hot pot meal she'd packed the night before from her spatial storage. Sitting down to eat the spicy broth, Shiyu finally let all her tension melt away. She wouldn't need to return to the warehouse tomorrow. Even though she'd only been there today, the thought of having someone guard the premises the next day filled her with delight. Sweetheart, once we clear out all the fruits and vegetables stored at the warehouse tomorrow night, I can head to other cities for a massive shopping spree. Shopping safely sit in the warehouse for extended stretches of time now that the caretaker was there. 144. Host, which cities do you plan to shop till you drop in? Multiple cities, obviously, Shiyu said mid-bite. My first stop will be Hong Kong. I'm going on a shopping binge there. She paused, a flicker of regret crossing her face. If only I had more time, I'd love to travel overseas too. 144 issued a reminder, but host, you gave your deadbeat father a 3-day deadline. What if he wants to buy the shares you hold? The transfer contract requires your physical signature in person, doesn't it? Shiyu let out a small hum of realization. She'd completely forgotten about her worthless father. Then I'll hold off on traveling until I sell those shares. I'll stick to shopping locally in the city for the next few days. 144, you've got this, host. After finishing her hot pot, Shiyu cleared the table, rested for another 10 minutes, then headed for the shower. Wrapped in a hair-drying turban and wearing a silky white camisole slip dress, she stepped out of the bathroom. First, she poured herself a glass of ice water, then stood in front of the refrigerator sipping it slowly. Only a few minutes remained until the midnight refresh reset. As she waited, she asked 144, once I move out of this house, will this refrigerator come with me? Yes, host. The fridge will disappear the moment you confirm your departure from this residence. It will permanently reside inside your spatial storage afterward, accessible to you anywhere. Shiyu frowned. If it's stored in my space, won't it take up a huge amount of room? It won't occupy usable storage space at all, host. 144 rushed to explain. Though it appears within your spatial dimension, it exists within a separate, exclusive subspace. You're simply able to perceive it visually. Shiyu uttered an absent-minded "oh." She still couldn't fully wrap her head around the mechanics, but as long as it didn't eat into her storage capacity, she didn't care. Right then, the clock struck 12. 144 alerted her, host, the refrigerator has refreshed its stock. She didn't need the system's notification. She watched the previously empty wine cabinet fill itself to the brim in the blink of an eye. Shiyu cleared out the 2 refrigerators and wine cabinet entirely, set down her water glass, and walked to the bedroom. She blow-dried her hair in the ensuite bathroom before collapsing onto the bed. Yet despite lying down, sleep eluded her. She spoke aloud, sweetheart, pull up the original novel text for me to read. Got it, host. Close your eyes. Shiyu obeyed, shutting her lids. Walls of text materialized in the darkness before her eyes. This brainless post-apocalyptic novel left her internally ranting non-stop from the moment she began reading. Her frustration spiked dramatically whenever she read about the original host, Jiang Shiyu's absurd decisions. She nearly swore out loud. In her 20-odd years of life, she'd never encountered such a pure, foolish fool as the original version of herself. She forced herself to read a while longer before throwing her eyes open, her tone laced with unbridled exasperation as she addressed 144. Sweetheart, are you certain the original host was just a vicious side character and not a total airhead patsy? 144 lagged for several seconds before answering guiltily. Host, is it possible the plot manipulated the original Jiang Shiyu and artificially dumbed her down? Shiyu exhaled sharply. So to highlight the female lead Jiang Yi's kindness and purity, they had to write the original host as an idiot? She couldn't hold back her grievances any longer. During those torrential rainstorms, she sheltered the male and female leads. I can overlook Jiang Yi's manipulative, fake sweet act, but good grief, those two ate Jiang Shiyu's food, drank her beverages, and lived in her house. How did the male lead have the gall to scowl at her, look down on her, and hurl constant accusations? Ugh, my temper would have flared instantly. On day one, I'd have beaten that idiot senseless and kicked both of them straight out my front door. Shiyu rambled on, fuming. And another thing. The original host custom built an enormous set of refrigerators, yet barely stocked them. All three scraped by on tiny portions through the rainstorm. Does that even make logical sense? Jiang Shiyu split food evenly 3 ways every single day. Everyone got identical rations. But Jiang Yi put on that saccharine, victimized act, claiming Jiang Shiyu naturally had a bigger appetite, that she worried Shiyu wouldn't have enough to eat, and voluntarily gave half her own food away. She offered that food of her own free will. Shiyu never demanded it, nor was she cruel to her. Is that male lead an imbecile? How could he twist this into proof that Shiyu bullied Yi? He even felt sorry for Yi and split half his rations to give to her. From what I can tell, Jiang Yi never went hungry for a single day. It was the male lead who starved. Still he fawns over his precious Yi, gushing about how pure-hearted she is. Seeing Shiyu ready to launch into another lengthy tirade, 144 quickly cut in. Host, do you want to keep reading? Shiyu snapped irritably. Why bother? This garbage is making me livid. What a terrible, nonsensical piece of writing. I only just realized the original host shared that spineless male lead's foolish crush, same as that manipulative fake Jiang Yi. Was Jiang Shiyu blind? Jiang Shiyu lost her mother at 7 and had a deadbeat father, plus she'd been driven out of the family home right after coming of age, but she still held substantial wealth. She was a gorgeous, curvaceous heiress with endless money. Had she never laid eyes on another man before? Why throw herself at Han Chenchuan's cold, ungrateful self? 144 replied timidly. The male lead is quite handsome. After all, he was the most attractive guy in their department. Shiyu let out a cold scoff. Handsome men are everywhere. If you've got money, you can find any gorgeous guy you want. The gentlemen's club is packed with 188-centimeter male escorts, perfect faces, sculpted 8-pack abs you can touch, endless emotional support on tap. Doesn't that sound far better? 144 stammered in shock. A gentlemen's club? 188 centimeters male escorts. Shiyu stared blankly. What, you judging them? That's not fair, sweetheart. All professions hold equal worth. Society mocks poverty far more than it judges sex work these days. Besides, at least those escorts are upfront. They earn money with their looks. That's leagues better than the male lead's hypocritical double standards. I spend cash to admire handsome men and run my fingers over their abs, and they'll dote on me and satisfy my emotional needs. The original Jiang Shiyu poured everything into Han Chenxian and never received a kind word in return. What was the point? Was she after his hypocrisy? Or his habit of mooching off her? He happily took every benefit she offered, yet looked down on her and insulted her afterward. Though speaking of his background, Han Chenchuan's family isn't poor, right? I heard they're well off in Tianjin, and he's their only son. So why does he come across as so petty and cheap? 144 had no answer to offer, simply saying, Host, I don't know either. You'd have to ask the novel's author. Shiyu rolled her eyes, as if she could track down the writer to question them. Total waste of breath. Forget it. She squeezed her eyes shut. I'm going to sleep. This nonsense wore me out. 144 watched its host settle in for rest, its system processing a moment of silence. It had only ever heard of people losing sleep from rage, not being worn out enough to pass out from fury. Host, you're incredible. Shortly before 10 o'clock in the morning the next day, Shiyu arrived at the entrance to the antique street on Miaowang Road, Champs-Élysées district. True to its name, the road was lined wall-to-wall with antique shops. Beyond antique stores, Shiyu spotted numerous ethnic craft boutiques, jewelry shops, and modern handicraft vendors as she wandered along. For once, she'd slung a handbag over her shoulder when leaving the house, dressed in attire befitting a wealthy heiress. She didn't receive the mysterious, faded pull that the female lead Jiang Yi enjoyed in the novel, but she remembered the antique shop's name from the original text. So when she laid eyes on the storefront marked Ancient Record Studio, she stepped inside without hesitation. Only a middle-aged man, presumably the shopkeeper, occupied the space. Running an antique shop lent him an air of vintage refinement. Multiple beaded bracelets wrapped his wrists, and he twisted another set of prayer beads between his fingers. Shiyu couldn't identify the materials or authenticity of the beads, yet she put on a convincing act of connoisseurship. Instead of heading straight for her target, she pretended to admire vases, jars, and porcelain plates displayed on antique wooden shelves, then casually drifted toward the counter, leaning forward to examine the ornaments locked inside the glass case. Now that she stood before him, the shopkeeper couldn't feign ignorance. He smiled and spoke up. "Miss, anything catch your eye? If nothing here suits your taste, feel free to tell me what you're looking for." Shiyu lifted her gaze to meet his eyes, returning a faint smile, then pointed at a peach-shaped white jade pendant beneath the glass. "Shopkeeper, may I examine that pendant?" The shopkeeper promptly unlocked the display case, lifted the jade carving out, and set it on a velvet-lined wooden tray. "Please take a closer look." Shiyu studied it intently for a long while. She couldn't fathom its supposed high value. Though no expert on antiques, she knew enough about jade to tell this piece's stone quality was mediocre. Whether it qualified as a genuine ancient artifact eluded her judgment. Regardless of its age, it held a hidden miniature spatial dimension inside. Even if it had been mass-produced in Yiwu, she intended to buy it. "Shopkeeper, what's your asking price for this pendant?" Delighted by her interest, the shopkeeper gestured a figure with his hand. When he realized Shiyu was a complete novice with no clue about pricing, he stated plainly, 100,000 yuan. Shiyu thought to herself, just as I expected, yet creased her brow lightly. "Shopkeeper, can you give me a fair, bottom-line price?" The shopkeeper had tossed out an arbitrary opening bid. The pendant had sat unsold in his shop for years. He couldn't even recall where he'd sourced it. The jade grade was subpar, the carving rough, and while technically antique, it wasn't from any particularly distant era. Veteran collectors would never purchase it, and lay shoppers balked at the steep tag. A rare gullible buyer had wandered in today, so after a brief pause, he revised his offer. 80,000, and that's as low as I can go. The gullible buyer, Shiyu, hesitated merely a few seconds before pulling out her phone. "Fine, I'll transfer payment via QR code." Once the payment cleared, the shopkeeper placed the jade pendant into a small wooden box right in front of her and handed it over. Shiyu slipped the box directly into her Chanel crossbody bag and exited the antique shop beneath the shopkeeper's gleeful gaze, convinced he'd just fleeced an easy mark. She didn't leave the street after stepping outside. Even as 144 urged her nonstop from inside her mind to return to her car, she ignored the system and walked purposefully into a handicraft store specializing in bladed weaponry. The shop was lined with all varieties of knives and swords, yet Shiyu's attention locked onto 3 pieces secured within a glass display cabinet. These 3 pieces were 2 Tang Hongdao straight sabers and 1 Miaodao two-handed long saber. Though all 3 blades remained unsharpened, their careful presentation behind glass told her they were the store's signature collector's pieces. Even as flagship inventory, their price tags wouldn't reach astronomical heights. While forged from premium steel with masterful craftsmanship and categorized as collectibles, they were modern reproductions, not million-dollar ancient blades. Shiyu asked the shopkeeper for quotes, and sure enough, the 2 Tang Hongdao totaled over 200,000 yuan combined, and the single Miaodao ran more than 100,000 yuan. Shiyu said, "I'll take all 3 swords. But I need your senior craftsman to professionally sharpen each blade. I'll pay extra for the sharpening labor separately." The shopkeeper hesitated at the mention of sharpening. These were high-quality blades, and once edged, they'd function as lethal weapons. Spotting his hesitation, Shiyu fabricated a relative to reassure him. "Shopkeeper, my uncle is a dedicated Tang sword collector. Every blade in his display case is fully sharpened. He always says a blade without an edge has no soul." She smiled gently. I understand your worries, rest assured. These 3 swords are purely for personal collection. We won't use them for any illegal activity. If you're still uneasy, I can show you my ID card. Should any trouble arise in the future, you can contact the authorities directly. Her thorough reassurance erased the shopkeeper's doubts entirely. He carefully lifted the 3 swords from the display cabinet and carried them toward the back workshop of the store. Seeing him head to the rear confirmed Shiyu's guess. The shop employed a seasoned bladesmith capable of sharpening traditional swords. Moments later, the shopkeeper returned empty-handed. Miss, please take a seat and have some tea while you wait. Sharpening blades is delicate, meticulous work. It will take quite a while. Shiyu asked curiously, approximately how long? The shopkeeper pondered and offered a conservative estimate. Around 2 hours. 2 hours, Shiyu thought, then proposed. How about this, shopkeeper? I'll pay the full amount up front, and you can write me a receipt. I'll return in 2 hours to collect the swords. The shopkeeper smiled in agreement. That works perfectly. The 3 swords totaled 670,000 yuan. Shiyu transferred 700,000 directly, the extra 30,000 covering the sharpening service fees. After leaving the weapon shop, she skipped further browsing of the antique street, walked back to the road entrance, found her vehicle, and climbed inside. As soon as she got back into the car, Shiryu pulled a small wooden box out of her bag and took out the peach blossom jade pendant. Shiryu hesitated and asked, "Do I really have to smear blood on it to open the spatial storage?" The response from 144 came right away. "No need, host. Even if you smear blood on it, you still won't unlock the space. This jade pendant is the female lead's destined opportunity. No one else can use it but her." Shiryu's face soured instantly upon hearing this. Only she can use it? What kind of ridiculous rule is this? Then how am I supposed to expand my space? 144 quickly hurried to explain, "Don't be mad, host. While you can't claim the planting space for yourself, I can devour the planting space sealed inside the pendant and fuse its area into your own storage space." Shiryu let out a surprised "oh" and asked, "How big will my space get after merging the planting space?" "I don't know," 144 replied innocently. "But a planting space that can hold living people is extremely high tier, quite rare across our system. Merging it should add a massive chunk of volume to your storage." Satisfied, Shiryu nodded. "All right then, devour it and fuse it right now." "Understood, host. Please place the jade pendant inside your spatial storage." Shiryu immediately stored the peach blossom jade pendant in her space, then closed her eyes to observe it with her consciousness. The moment the pendant entered the storage, it began fading away bit by bit. Once the pendant vanished completely, a crisp ding echoed in Shiryu's mind. Successfully intercepted the female lead's greatest fortune, the jade pendant planting space. Rewards, plus 1,000 cubic meters to host storage space, plus 500 mission points, all host physical stats raised by 50 points each. Hosts' accumulated mission points exceed 500. The system mall is now unlocked. Another sharp ding sounded. System 144 has fully fused the planting space. Host storage space increased by 100,000 cubic meters. At the news of an extra 100,000 cubic meters, Shiryu gasped out loud. Her original storage space had been 6,000 cubic meters. The mission reward added 1,000, and the fused planting space contributed another 100,000. Her total space now stood at 107,000 cubic meters. Shiryu, overjoyed, thrilled. 144, host, the system mall is open. Do you want to take a look? Curious about the mall, Shiryu said. Sure, show it to me. The second the words left her mouth, a virtual panel only visible to her materialized before her eyes. At the top of the panel, her current mission points were displayed, 700. The system mall resembled an online shopping platform lined with rows of goods. Yet Shiryu noticed only the 5 slots on the first row were lit up. Every item below them was grayed out. Shiryu, hey cutie, what do these grayed out items mean? They're unavailable for purchase, 144 explained. You only have 700 mission points right now. Even if I unlocked all of them, you couldn't afford a single one. Shiryu, fair enough, she was broke. She glanced at the locked merchandise further down. Even the cheapest ones cost well over 1,000 points. Thinking about how mission points only came from completing quests, and in tiny amounts at that, Shiryu sighed helplessly. How long will I have to grind to buy anything I want from the mall? Also, you said once I save up enough points, I can buy a ticket back to my original world. How many points does that cost? Flip to the last page of the mall to check. Sure, you immediately jumped to the final page and saw it: World Traversal Talisman. Bearers of this talisman may travel to any designated world. Price. The string of zeros blurred her vision. After counting carefully, she was utterly stunned. 100 billion. Is this doomsday cannon fodder awakening system out of its mind? How many endless quests would I need to finish to scrape together 100 billion points with these measly 100-point rewards? It would trap her in this doomsday novel world until the end of time. What was the point of even trying to return? She might as well grow old and die here. 144 rushed to soothe her. Calm down, host. Mission points aren't the only way to earn points. Once zombies appear later on, you can trade zombie crystal cores for points. Sure, you let out a cold, hollow laugh. If I'm not wrong, those crystal cores are the only material for superpower advancement, right? If I trade every core for points, how am I supposed to compete with the male and female leads in this apocalypse? Am I just a weak level 1 superpower user walking straight to my death? That won't happen, host. You have super body enhancement pills. After taking them, you'll be as strong as a superhuman. Plus, the system mall sells superpower elixir to raise your ability tier, far safer than crystal cores. While crystal cores hold the energy needed for power upgrades, they also contain a violent, chaotic energy. Without a superpower user with purification ability to cleanse the core, the higher the core's tier, the deadlier it is to absorb. Sure, you narrowed her eyes and pulled the mall panel back to the first page. Sure enough, the 5th slot in the first row held the superpower elixir 144 had mentioned. The elixir came in single-serve strips, identical to the concentrated Korean ginseng drinks she'd drunk in her past life. Just bite open the packet and drink directly. Its price was reasonably low, only 10 points per strip. But sure, you spotted a line of fine print beneath the product, a maximum of 3 strips per day. One for morning, noon, and night. Sure, you drink 3 strips a day and my superpower levels up? Exactly, host. The energy within the elixir is denser, purer, and safer than that of crystal cores. Once you awaken your superpower, drink it daily, and your stored energy will trigger a tier up once the threshold is met. Your physique is special, though. After consuming all 5 super body enhancement pills, your body stats will let you drink an extra 2 or 3 strips per day without risk. The elixir didn't grant an instant tier up per serving. It accumulated energy inside the body, and once the energy hit the required threshold, the power advanced automatically. The mechanic worked the same as crystal cores, except the elixir's energy was richer, purer, and safer. Simply put, the elixir lets superpower users level up far faster and without risk compared to crystal cores. For example, newly awakened superpower users start at Tier 0 and absorb basic Tier 0 cores. 100 basic cores raise you to Tier 1. To go from Tier 1 to Tier 2, you need 100 Tier 1 cores, or 1,000 basic Tier 0 cores. But once a user hits Tier 3, basic cores become completely useless. Even absorbing 100,000 won't generate enough energy to level up. Tier 3 is a critical divide. Upon reaching Tier 4, superpower users can only absorb crystal cores matching their own ability element. The superpower elixir had no such restrictions. No matter how high Shiryu's tier grew, or what kind of superpower she wielded, the elixir would supply all the energy she needed. After understanding the difference between elixir and crystal cores, Shiryu happily resolved to exchange nearly all crystal cores she collected in the future for mission points. She stared contentedly at the superpower elixir, then shifted her gaze to the other 4 slots on the first row. The first slot held the super body enhancement pill, priced at 500 points each. Shiryu raised an eyebrow. Whoa, these pills are pricey. At 500 points apiece, she could only afford one with her current balance. Thankfully, her newcomer gift pack had randomly awarded her 5. Shiryu felt like she'd hit the jackpot. Next came antidote pills, 20 points each. After the apocalypse, not only humans mutated, plants and animals did too, many carrying lethal venom. These pills neutralized all toxins, even date rape drugs and aphrodisiacs. Swallow one immediately after poisoning, and the toxin would vanish instantly. The effect was temporary, though. A new pill was needed for each exposure. Shiryu saw why they only cost 20 points. A thought suddenly crossed her mind, and she asked 144, "Cutie, can these antidote pills wipe out the zombie virus?" 144, "Nope, host. You're beautiful, but your hopes are even prettier. A 20-point pill can't possibly eliminate the zombie virus." The mall does carry zombie virus cleansing pills, though. They cost 50,000 points each. Shiryu, right, That luxury item was far out of her budget. She brushed off her systems, teasing about her unrealistic hopes. She'd forgotten she'd received a full plus 50 stat boost as part of her earlier rewards. Sure you, cutie, pull up my physical stats panel for me. On it, host. A second virtual panel popped up beside the mall interface, its numbers completely updated. Host name, Shiryu Jiang Shiyu gender, female age, 20 physical stats, stamina, 20 plus 50 is equal to 120 endurance. 13 plus 50 is equal to 113 strength. 17 plus 50 is equal to 117 speed. 14 plus 50 is equal to 114 body toughness. 12 plus 50 is equal to 112 combat prowess. 5 plus 50 is equal to 95 superpower? Unknown. Every stat except combat prowess had broken past 100. 144 cheered happily. Congratulations, host. Your physical capabilities far surpass ordinary humans. Before superpower users emerge, not even the strongest baseline human alive could match you. Sure, you hadn't felt an obvious shift in her body, but hearing that made her curious. She pulled a glass bottle of mineral water out of her space and chugged the whole thing in one go. Wrapping her hand lightly around the empty bottle, she squeezed. Crack. The glass shattered effortlessly in her grip. Sure you, holy hell. She'd barely applied any force, just a gentle squeeze, and the bottle had crumbled to pieces? Worse yet, the jagged shards hadn't cut her hands at all. Sensing her shock, 144 spoke up. Host, your body toughness sits at 112 points. Broken glass can't pierce your skin, though blades still leave cuts. Keep raising your stats, and eventually even the sharpest blades won't harm you. They'll only leave faint white marks, not break the skin at all. Sure, you mused aloud. Does that mean zombies can't scratch or bite through me? I wouldn't have to worry about infection. That's correct. No zombie below zombie emperor rank can wound you with claws or fangs. What 144 didn't mention was that severe blunt force trauma would still hurt her. Sure, you had no idea what her system was holding back. Today's heist of the female lead's destiny had been an enormous win for her. Unbeknownst to Shiryu, the second 144 finished fusing the planting space. Jiang Yi, who was road-tripping hundreds of kilometers away in another city, was seized by a sudden sharp flutter of anxiety. Inside her car, Jiang Yi's heart lurched with unexplained dread. She pressed a hand to her chest, overcome with the sense that she'd lost something irreplaceable. Han Qinxian, driving beside her, noticed her gesture and shot her a gentle, worried glance. What's wrong, Yi? Carsick. Jiang Yi forced her unease down and smiled softly at him. I'm fine, senior. Don't worry about me. Han Qinxuan's concern deepened. We'll hit the next service station soon. I'll get you motion sickness medicine then. The 2 men and 1 woman sitting in the back also chimed in to comfort her. Surrounded by their care, Jiang Yi's anxiety faded slightly, her smile growing softer and more demure for Han Qinxian and the others. Elsewhere, while Jiang Yi soaked up everyone's doting attention, Shiryu was already scrolling her phone, placing bulk online orders. Thinking of the frozen pre-cooked meals already stored in her fridge, she loaded up her cart with more supplies. 5 microwave ovens, 5 air fryers, 5 electric griddles, 5 induction cooktops, 3 dishwashers, 10 robot vacuum cleaners, 10 drones. 5 hair dryers, 5 curling irons of every model, 5 straightening irons, 3 professional hairdressing tool sets, 10 crates each of shower caps, microfiber hair towels, bath sponges, and exfoliating scrub cloths. Sure, you bought anything that crossed her mind. Her expanded storage space had more than enough room now. She ordered 5 crates filled with assorted combs, hair ties, headbands, and decorative hair clips. She also purchased 5 crates each of small, medium, and large bath towels and bath sheets. She kept shopping nonstop for 2 hours, until 144 reminded her it was time to collect her custom blades. Reluctantly, she set her phone aside. She stuffed her phone back into her bag, exited the car, locked the doors, and headed down the antique street. When she arrived at the shop, the owner was waiting for her. 3 rectangular wooden cases holding her custom blades sat on the counter. Seeing Shiryu walk in, the shop owner smiled. Your blades are fully sharpened. Take a look, miss. Shiryu smiled and nodded, opening each case one by one. The blades inside were razor sharp, their edges polished to perfection. The owner warned her, these 3 blades are extremely sharp after sharpening, handle them carefully. Sure, you picked up a Tang horizontal blade to test its weight, then slid it back into its scabbard to check the fit. She grinned at the shop owner. No worries, I'll keep them sheathed so I don't cut myself. She tested all 3 blades and was fully satisfied. She slid them back into their wooden crates, lifted all 3 boxes, and bid the shop owner farewell. Back in her car, Shiryu stored the 3 boxed blades inside her spatial storage. As she started the engine, she spoke to 144. It's tough to get lethal firearms in this country, but bladed weapons are easy enough to buy. These 3 blades will carve through zombies like butter, 1 hit, 1 monster down. 144 snickered mischievously. Host, there's another devastating weapon you can legally purchase in this country. Shiryu pulled onto the road and asked, oh? What's that? 144 chuckled. Chainsaws and logging saws. They mow down zombies perfectly well too. Shiryu laughed, but shook her head. Nah, those things make far too much noise. The racket would draw every zombie within a kilometer straight to us. Even though it had brought up the idea, 144 had to admit its host was right. It's past noon. No wonder I'm starving. Shiryu glanced at the car's digital clock, brainstorming lunch options as she spoke to 144. Cutie, look up where I can buy anthracite coal. I'll head there after eating. On it, host. Shiryu settled on pizza for lunch. Though she'd conveniently spotted a pizza parlor and picked it for convenience, she refused to admit it. She parked along the roadside, walked inside, and ordered a 4-inch shrimp pizza, a plate of pasta, and an iced lemon tea. While waiting for her food, 144 reported, found a supplier in the new district, Xingda Coal Industry. Old-fashioned coal briquettes are long gone. They only sell anthracite now. Shiryu thought to herself, anthracite is perfect, no choking smoke fumes. She finished her meal in under 30 minutes, then drove straight to Xingda Coal Industry. Upon arriving, she asked about pricing. Anthracite cost 800 yuan per ton. She'd originally planned to buy 30,000 tons, but 144 cut in with a warning. Host, 30,000 tons totals 24 million yuan. You'd better double-check your remaining account balance first. Shiryu froze. She hadn't tracked her spending, but the system's warning meant she definitely didn't have enough funds. She silently asked 144 in her mind, check how much money I have left. She'd splurged heavily on supplies these past few days. Since the funds weren't her own, and the apocalypse loomed, she'd stocked up recklessly without tallying her expenses. 144, combined across all your bank accounts, you have exactly 20 million yuan left in savings. Shiryu, just as she suspected, she couldn't afford 30,000 tons. Turning to the sales manager, she revised her order. I need 20,000 tons of anthracite. Do you offer free delivery and labor for unloading? It's still within the same city, not far at all. 20,000 tons? For the coal industry, that qualified as a major client. The sales manager beamed warmly. Absolutely, we can arrange that. How long will delivery take to finish? Miss Jiang, same city shipments usually arrive the same day, but your order volume is massive. It'll take roughly 3 days to deliver all of it. Relieved, Shiryu said, that works. Let's sign the contract, please arrange delivery as soon as possible. Once the contract was signed, Shiryu skipped paying a deposit and transferred the full sum up front, 16 million yuan. The supervisor issued her a receipt affixed with the official company seal, then escorted her out of Xingda Coal Industry with warm, courteous hospitality. Back inside her car, Shiryu vented to System 144. Now I'm only left with 4 million. Is that deadbeat dad even going to buy my shares? If not, I'll sell them to someone else for good. Host, the 3-day deadline you gave him hasn't expired yet. That lousy father will definitely drag his feet for a while longer. Fine, I just hope he makes up his mind soon. I don't have time to waste waiting around for him. Though Shiryu's funds were now down to 4 million, she showed no sign of slowing her massive shopping spree. Before restocking supplies further, she sold the original host's flashy sports car, recouping roughly 2.1 million yuan. Once Jiang Yue finished work, she headed to a rented warehouse to collect all the fruits and vegetables delivered that day. Over the following days, Shiryu swept the whole city stockpiling takeout meals. She placed an order for 50,000 barrels of bottled water directly with a water plant. Then visited a banquet hotel to consult the manager and custom order full banquets at the highest luxury standard, 50 full tables in total, with every single dish packed to go. She also rented a small delivery truck solely for hauling all the prepared food. No eatery escaped her stockpiling spree. Upscale five-star hotels, hole-in-the-wall private family restaurants, and global fast food chains alike, KFC, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, all of them. While hoarding takeout, she hired a renovation firm to replace all the glass windows in her apartment with blast-proof, bulletproof panes, installing 2 extra protective layers on every window. She also fitted blast-resistant armor gates at the elevator landing and all emergency exits. Knowing torrential rains would hit for a full week before sweltering extreme heat descended, she instructed the contractors to add full thermal insulation to the residence. Thermal film was pasted onto every outer window, and heat-blocking blackout curtains were mounted behind the regular drapes. Fearing power outages and electricity rationing during the heatwave, she had a standalone solar generator installed in her rooftop sunroom. All the flowers and plants originally growing there were cleared out entirely to make space for photovoltaic panels. She also struck a deal with an ice factory to deliver 100 tons of large ice blocks to her rented cold storage facility every single day. Since her apartment was under constant renovation, Shiryu didn't stay home those 2 nights, booking a hotel room instead. Still, she returned to her place sharp after midnight each night solely to empty the restocked supplies from her giant integrated fridge. Unsurprisingly, her bank balance plummeted rapidly day after day. Time flew by, and the 5th arrived, the final deadline Shiryu had set for her father. Early that morning, her deadbeat dad called, his tone icy as he ordered her to head to the company to sign the equity transfer contract. Without a word, Shiryu hung up, changed into casual wear, and drove cheerfully toward his corporate headquarters. Could anyone blame her excitement? Her bank account was nearly drained dry. She sped all the way to the company gates, and standing outside the entrance, she sighed aloud to System 144. Look at this empire, built brick by the original Jiang Shiyu's mother and that worthless man. Half of this should have belonged to her mother, yet after her mom passed away, Shiyu only inherited a measly 15% equity stake. Cutie, what lesson does this teach us? System 144 asked innocently, what lesson? Shiryu tore her gaze away from the building, pushed her sunglasses up her nose with one finger, and strode inside, sneering coldly. It teaches you never to build a fortune side by side with a man. Once he attains wealth and status, you'll become nothing more than an eyesore he wants gone. System 144 murmured a docile, utterly confused. Didn't the original host's mother die of illness? How did that connect to what her host just said? Still, it dared not voice its doubts. Stepping into the lobby, her father's assistant had already waited by the front desk. When he spotted Shiryu, he almost failed to recognize her. He'd met Jiang Shiyu multiple times before, and every previous encounter showed her acting timid and subservient like a frightened quail in front of her father. This was the first time he'd seen her carry such overwhelming presence. How to put it, she radiated unshakable authority. Even dressed in plain casual clothes, she looked entirely transformed. Despite his confusion, the assistant hurried forward to greet her as she approached. Second miss, Director Jiang sent me down to fetch you. Let me escort you upstairs. Shiryu neither nodded nor spoke. She hooked one finger under her sunglasses and slid them down, revealing her bright, cat-like eyes. Assistant Fong, who exactly are you calling second miss? A faint, ambiguous smirk tugged at her lips. The assistant froze on the spot, and several front desk clerks craned their necks to peek over. Shiryu chuckled softly. You can't possibly mean me, right? You've got the title wrong. Assistant Fong. Shiryu pushed her sunglasses back into place, her face blank and emotionless. Even if I no longer live under the Jiang roof, I am the one and only legitimate eldest daughter of the Jiang family. Just because someone else took the Jiang surname doesn't make her a Jiang heiress. The assistant fully grasped her meaning and stiffened up instantly. That stepdaughter your father brought home from his second wife is nothing but a stray child tagging along, not even an illegitimate offspring. How dare she rank higher than me? Admittedly, the title of Jiang family young lady is hardly something worth fighting over, but my status as the legitimate wife's daughter still matters. Next time, address me as eldest Mississippi. Thank you. The assistant forced a strained smile and agreed, hastily leading Shiryu into the elevator. Shiryu's razor-sharp words had left him too intimidated to utter another word. Once he'd escorted her into Director Zhang's office, he fled the room as fast as his feet would carry him. Time to bolt. Good grief, Miss Jiang has completely found her backbone. There's bound to be explosive drama in there, but as a lowly wage slave, he dared not stick around to witness his boss's family conflict. Inside the office, Shiryu paid zero attention to her father's livid expression. She removed her sunglasses, walked over to the sofa uninvited without waiting for him to speak, sat down with one leg crossed over the other, and stared straight at him. System 144 kept pestering her mentally to stay in character, yet Shiryu threw all restraint to the wind. Father and daughter locked eyes for several seconds before Shiryu raised an eyebrow slightly. Didn't you summon me to sign the equity transfer contract? Have you prepared the payment? I won't put pen to paper until the funds hit my account. Her father glowered at her, clearly seeing she would not be swayed by sentiment. He let out a long, weary sigh. Xiaoyu, you are my only biological daughter. Must we be this cold and distant with each other as father and child? Shiryu saw right through his transparent attempt to play the emotional card and held up a hand in a dismissive gesture. Cut the sentimental nonsense. With our relationship, tearful pleas won't move me an inch. Her father fell speechless. Watching him choke on his words, Shiryu smiled faintly. I was just telling Assistant Fong downstairs. He called me second miss, and I told him the Jiang family only has one eldest daughter. How could that stray child your second wife dragged along rank above me? But now I've had a second thought. You clearly don't mind raising another man's daughter, kicking your own flesh and blood out of the house for her sake. So I suppose Jiang Yi truly is the favored young lady of the Jiang household. Her father's face flushed crimson with rage. Shiryu rested her chin in one hand and watched him unhurriedly. Fortunately, I couldn't care less about that meaningless title. You're welcome to spoil another man's child and hand over everything the Jiang family owns to her in the end. I have no objections whatsoever. After all, that scheming White Lotus you married, sorry, your long-lost true love, the two of you share genuine affection. So naturally you dote on her daughter by extension. I completely understand. She savored the look of fury on his face and continued speaking. So I understand your choices, and you ought to understand mine. Cash exchanged for a signature, we settle this fairly, no empty father-daughter sentimentality to cloud things. There's no real bond between us, and forcing this emotional act is nothing short of revolting. Her father finally grasped her unyielding stance and roared in anger. Fine, fine, fine. You've grown far too independent and ungrateful. If you want nothing to do with the Jiang family's assets, you are no longer recognized as a member of this household from this day forward. Shiryu shrugged with an indifferent grin. Could have said that from the start. We wouldn't have wasted so much of each other's time. He slammed the equity transfer contract hard down on his desk. Then sign it. Shiryu stood and sauntered over to the desk, flipping through the contract casually as she spoke. Transfer the funds first. I won't sign until the money arrives in my account. I don't trust you not to welch on the deal. Her father shot her several dark, furious glares before picking up the office phone and ordering his secretary to initiate the bank transfer. He'd clearly prepared the funds in advance. All it took was a quick notification to the bank for the full sum to clear instantly. He'd had the money ready all along, yet he'd wasted her time with those nauseating emotional appeals. Deep down, he'd clung to the vain hope of getting her equity for free. Now that he saw she cared for nothing but cold hard cash, he had no choice but to hand over the payment against his will. Minutes later, Shiryu received an SMS alert from her bank confirming the transfer. 200 million yuan had landed in her account. She picked up the signing pen and mentally reminded System 144 cautiously, "Cutie, scan this transfer contract for me and check for hidden loopholes or traps." System 144 began scanning immediately, responding after 3 seconds. Rest assured, host. You may sign without worry. This contract contains no hidden clauses. Reassured, Shiryu signed her full name and pressed her fingerprint onto the document using the ink pad beside it. Once the paperwork was finalized, she had no desire to exchange another word with her father. She slipped her sunglasses back on and walked straight out the door without a single goodbye. She paid no mind to her father seething with rage inside the office. Inside the elevator, she voiced a faint regret to System 144. I taunted and provoked him nonstop just now. Why didn't he lay a hand on me? System 144 was utterly dumbfounded. So you were deliberately goading him the entire time? Shiryu hummed in amusement, offering no denial. What if he had attacked you, though? Beneath her sunglasses, her cat-like eyes sparkled brightly. Then any retaliation on my part would count as justifiable self-defense. Even if my response crossed the line into excessive defense, he threw the first punch. So at worst it would be ruled a mutual altercation. System 144 fell silent. She really knew her legal terms, didn't she? It had suspected all along its host had been secretly hoping for a chance to beat her deadbeat father senseless. After leaving the corporate building, Shiryu's wallet was flush with cash again. Seeing it was still early in the day, she drove to a nearby shopping mall. System 144 watched its host march purposefully toward the mall's main entrance after parking and asked, "What goods can't you order online that you need to buy in person here?" Shiryu rode the escalator all the way to the 4th floor, smiling inwardly as she replied, "Quite a few things are better bought in store. Besides, I spotted a restaurant on the top floor called Crab Encounter that specializes in king crab dishes. I want to sample their cuisine. If the flavor lives up to expectations, I plan to stock up on massive quantities." With that, she stepped into an outrageously pricey lingerie boutique on the 4th floor. She picked 8 full lingerie sets she liked, then called a sales associate and ordered 10 sets of every color variation for each design. Under the shop assistant's delighted, eager gaze, she also selected 3 silk slip nightgowns. Purchasing 5 pieces of each color, she only picked 2 styles of silk button-front pajamas, limiting her order to white, black, and champagne, 5 sets of each shade as well. When it came time to pay, she hadn't realized how large her haul was until everything was packed into bags. There was no way she could carry them all and continue browsing alone. Luckily, the sales clerk read her expression perfectly. Noticing Shiryu frown at the towering pile of lingerie bags, she spoke warmly at once. "Ma'am, if you'd like, our staff can carry all these bags out to your vehicle for free." Shiryu's face lit up. "That would be a huge help, thank you." She headed downstairs afterward, followed by 4 shop assistants hauling armfuls of bags all the way to the underground parking garage. Once all her purchases were stowed in the car, the staff returned to the mall. The moment the clerks left, Shiryu used her vehicle for cover and stored all the packed lingerie into her pocket dimension. She locked the car again and wandered back into the mall. After browsing for a while longer, she timed her arrival perfectly to dine at the rooftop restaurant. Upon entering, she requested a private booth straight away, scanned the menu, and ordered 1 king crab prepared in each of the restaurant's 5 signature flavor profiles. The young waiter, seeing she was dining alone, gently warned her the portion size was far too large for 1 person. Shiryu smiled unconcernedly and said she would take leftovers to go, so the waiter confirmed her order and headed to the kitchen. The 5 king crab preparations included spicy stir-fried, ginger scallion stir-fried, garlic breadcrumb deep-fried, Thai green curry, and steamed with minced garlic and vermicelli. The kitchen served food quickly, and Shiryu didn't wait long before the first spicy stir-fried king crab arrived. She slipped on disposable gloves, plucked off a crab leg, and chatted with System 144 mid-bite. "This tastes incredible. They even added rice cakes to the side dishes. I'll sample the other 4 varieties once they arrive. If all of them are this good, I'll place a bulk takeout order for stockpiling." Even as a non-corporeal system, 144 felt a surge of craving, yet it could never taste food itself. It hastily shifted topics to distract itself from the imaginary savory aroma. "Host, you already have king crabs stored in your fridge space. Why stock even more?" "Of course I will. I could never recreate flavors this delicious on my own. My cooking skills only stretch to basic steamed seafood at best. How many privileged heiresses born with silver spoons in their mouths possessed fine culinary skills? The few who could cook only managed mediocre dishes at most." Shiryu fell into that category. She could prepare simple edible meals, but nothing that qualified as flavorful, just passable, neither terrible nor tasty. That was precisely why she'd set her heart on hoarding mountains of restaurant takeout. It wasn't because cooking would be difficult post-apocalypse. She simply refused to subject her taste buds and stomach to bland, homemade hardship meals. Once the remaining 4 flavored king crabs were served, Shiryu tasted each one thoroughly, then pressed the service bell to summon the waiter back. The same young man returned, assuming she needed containers for leftovers, but Shiryu spoke first. "Excuse me, can I place bulk takeout orders from your restaurant?" The waiter hesitated for a split second before registering her request was not for leftover packaging. "We do offer takeout service, ma'am." Shiryu grinned. "Perfect. I'd like 100 pre-cooked king crabs of each of these 5 flavors to take away." 100 of every flavor? The waiter stammered in shock. I can arrange that, but I'll need to fetch our restaurant manager to confirm such a massive order." Shiryu nodded in understanding, and the waiter rushed off to retrieve the manager. The manager had already been briefed on the staggering order, so he stepped into the booth with an apologetic smile. Ma'am, we do accept large takeout orders, but preparing this quantity will take until this afternoon. That's no trouble at all. Give me a call once the food is nearly finished, and I'll come pick it up. Just deliver all the packed orders to my car in the underground parking garage. The manager brightened instantly. Absolutely. Please leave your contact number with me, and I'll notify the kitchen chefs right away. Sure, you gave him her phone number, paid a deposit up front, and settled the bill for her dine-in meal. She also asked the manager to bring over several large takeout containers for her leftover crab meat. Moments later, the manager personally delivered 4 oversized packing crates, plus complimentary extras, a fruit platter, a plate of the restaurant's signature pastries, and a bottle of beverage. Sure, you bit into a slice of watermelon from the platter and smiled at System 144. If I weren't flying to Hong Kong tomorrow, I'd order takeout from this restaurant every single day for a full week. System 144 was stunned. Its host planned to travel the next day, but offered a suggestion. You could keep placing orders once you return from your trip. Solid idea. Sure, you accepted the proposal with a smile. That means I need to schedule my return 6 days ahead of schedule, so I won't rush back right before the torrential rain hits. Today is the 5th. You have 20 full days to travel, with 6 days reserved for your return trip. The heavy rains will start on June 1st. Sure, you wiped her hands with a wet wipe and grabbed her phone. I'll book my flight now. Tonight I'll swing by the warehouse to clear out a batch of stored goods. Shipments arrived at the warehouse daily these days, but none required immediate refrigerated storage in her dimension, so she hadn't visited the past 2 nights. Since she'd be leaving to travel tomorrow, she needed to clear inventory in advance. Additionally, her custom heavy-duty pallet racking was scheduled for delivery in a few days, so she required empty floor space in the warehouse for the installation crew to assemble the shelving. Then a critical worry crossed her mind. What will I do about the fridge's daily restock refresh cycle while I'm traveling away from home? 2 options. Forfeit the daily resupplies and waste 20 full refresh cycles, or store the entire integrated fridge set in your portable dimensional space to take with you. Wasting 20 restock cycles was out of the question for sure you. 20 days of unlimited daily food replenishment amounted to an enormous stockpile. Just thinking about throwing all that away made her ache with regret. But hauling the giant wall-mounted fridge set with her brought a new complication. Renovation workers are at my apartment every day. How do I explain a full wall of custom refrigeration vanishing into thin air? No explanation required. They will have no memory of the fridge existing. They will only recall that wall as bare drywall. Sure, you relaxed. Then I'll take it with me. Shall I execute the storage transfer immediately? Sure, you blinked in surprise. You can do it right now? Won't the construction workers witness it disappearing out of nowhere? It is feasible, host. The renovation crew will not register the sudden vanishing act at all. Carry out the transfer then. The instant her words left her mind, a soft chime echoed inside her head. Portable integrated fridge activated, now stored within your special foldable pocket dimension. Incredible. Sure, you praised the system warmly, filling System 144 with pure delight from head to core.